Oh.
Hello again, friends. And you are our friends. Welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru. See, we're having fun already. It's going to be a fun, action-packed show. I'm your host, the great Brian Last. And here he is, Mr. Fun himself, Jim Cornette.
Oh, you got to be fun. And Brian, you know what? I was with you there. I was taking that. You started at the beginning and you took a little more time. You took your time. Do it right. We can do it, baby. Do it tonight. You were taking your time.
Oh, boy.
And you had it going. Yeah, you can send out your SOS to the band.
I guess so.
Yeah, see, there you go. Boom. 6% of our audience just popped. You were taking your time, and then you just missed one completely. It was as sour as a daggum old moon pie left out in the sun for a few days. And then to make up for it, you just where it sounded like a ferret on methamphetamines being chased around the Keys by an angry cat.
You know, I remember in Hail Hail Rock and Roll, when Keith Richards was trying to correct Chuck Berry on like how to play Maybelline or something. Chuck Berry just looked at him and just said, "If I play it this way, that's how Chuck Berry plays it." My point is, there are no wrong notes. There are happy mistakes, as Bob Ross may have said. And I'm overall very happy with the intro.
I don't know if you play like Chuck Berry or Marion Barry.
No relation, no relation.
And bam, 13% of the audience is rolling in the aisles today. Brian, I'm cold, first of all. I'm cold. It's cold here. It's cold. It's very cold. Have I mentioned how cold it is? It was 24 degrees here in the backyard of Castle Cornette early this morning, and it didn't get really above freezing for a high yesterday. We were near the record low high. High, low, sky low, low. We were near one of those things. And then, but now by Saturday, it's going to be 72 again. But in the meantime, we had snow flurries off and on all day yesterday. And I have set the heat on in every part of the house that has a thermostat. And Brian, just take a guess what the thermostat setting is on in my office right now, that I put it on purposely.
What it's on, not what it was when you woke up and looked to see the temperature in the room.
Right, what it's on right now so that I can exist in this room wearing a nice, comfy, long sleeve, slightly sweaty shirt.
Yeah, see, you're a minimalist when it comes to this. I'm going to say 68 degrees.
71.
Oh, wow.
I have never set a thermostat at 71 degrees in my life. And I feel almost embarrassed to admit it's come to this. I'm one of these old people that needs a blanket. I'm like, I'm Ron Wright. I need a blanket over me, and I need some money for all of my implants. But I just said, I was fed up with it. I said, fuck it. I throw up the flag of surrender. I go and I'm turning the heat on, and you know, I felt odd yesterday. Yesterday, I wasn't feeling normal. It was a very strange feeling. I had slept 9 hours in a row. I think I got up to piss once, but it didn't really, bother me. Slept 9 straight hours, great night's sleep, woke up feeling physically good and with a positive mental outlook and better than usual. It was very strange, very abnormal. And I jumped on the task of signing some more of my books, and it was just very pleasant for some reason. And then things started coming back to normal. I saw the 8 Democrats committed treason and caved in on the deal and voted with the Republicans to reopen the government. So that, I'll say, they did a nice job of extortion. Trump has learned well from working with the families there in New York. We'll cut off the money to the 40 million hungry people and let them starve unless you allow us to force up to $20 million off their health insurance and they can die. So I get the 40 million beats the 20 million, but so we saw that happen. And then I got the letter about the new health insurance premiums that I will be paying for myself and Queen Stacy in the coming year. And also at the same time got a letter from the state telling me that I qualify for absolutely zero in subsidies, which obviously I knew that to begin with, but it seems like it's a little rude of them to put it down on paper and just send it to you. No, fuck you. We're not giving you shit. So now, Brian, we will be spending, before we go to the first doctor's appointment, $30,000 in 2026 just to have insurance so that we don't have to declare bankruptcy if one or both of us gets hit by a truck. 30 grand. Because the insurance companies now know that since the Republicans are going to fuck the poor people on their subsidies, so they have to drop the insurance, that they have to charge more for the insurance for the people who don't get any subsidies because they got the money to pay for it, or they just drop theirs too. But I'm almost there. When I'm 65, I get Medicare, unless the Republicans beat me to that.
Oh, they just announced they raised it to 70.
You son of a... That's what they want to do. They want to do all of this shit. And I know we have listeners in legitimate countries around the world who are going, what the fuck are you people talking about? But yeah, we'll pay 30 grand for our health insurance, where we still have to have a copay of like $50 when we go to the doctor. And then I think it's $5,000 or $7,000 deductible out of pocket before they start paying for some of the things that we then pay lesser prices for. So then I got a rotten night's sleep and I woke up in a foul mood and feeling slightly ill at my stomach. So I'm back to normal.
Of course, this is happy talk. And it may be chilly outside, it may be chilly inside.
I'm a little hot over here.
71 degrees at Castle Cornette right now. What's the hottest room in the house that Stacy has the heat up on?
That was a very unwieldily worded question.
It was awful. It was
it was just plain
in every
bad.
way.
But
yes.
No, she actually spends most of her day in the room that with the studio that we had renovated a couple of years ago, and she sets it at 68, but she has the best insulation, baby, in the house, because that was built from scratch a couple of years ago. So it feels very nice and warm and cozy in there, no matter whether the heat's blowing or not.
All right. Well, the heat is on. And of course, Jim talking about things. Everything's cold. Everything right now is cold and everything's sad and depressing. But there's a lot of heat going on at Cornette's Collectibles, JimCornette.com, Hotchkiss Featherbottom, burning rubber to get back and forth to the post office.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you what, he's burned all of his rubbers. They're over the Featherbottoms now. They're in a world of quandary over there, because we have put all of the fingers and toes to bear on the Featherbottom family, and Stacy even jumped in, stuffing stay flats. The other day, she stuffed at least 200 stay flats, and we have gotten the shipment this past week was not only filled up my Ford Expedition, but also Hotchkiss's little soccer mom SUV, and we dumped it all off in his garage, and at least 500 different orders going out, but more to come. I'm signing these as fast as I can, folks. We're trying to stay up on the non-book related orders. If you just want a t-shirt and you wandered into this goddamn madhouse, we got a little special line over there for you, or whatever. If it doesn't require my personal attention, you can get it quicker, but JimCornette.com, and Heroes and Friends. The new best-selling book is rapidly killing me and flying to the customers from JimCornette.com. More next week.
All right, back to me, I guess it is.
I don't know what I appreciate everybody's patience in this, because we were just overwhelmed with the level of interest. And that's why it's taken us, we went on sale a month ago and we've gotten at least 1,500 orders already out. No more than that, probably. And there's still a stack so big, it just looks daunting to me over here, but I appreciate everybody's patience. We're speeding up. We also found out that a couple of hundred people, actually more than that, but that's what we've done so far, didn't want a personalization. They just wanted me to autograph it. So that way, that speeds up that's where Stacy was stuffing the stay flats. Once I signed the stack of a couple of hundred, then she can take it from there, and it speeds up the overall bulk of the thing. We were adopting these little tricks. JimCornette.com.
Just remember, the more copies of this you buy, the closer we get to Enemies and Bums, the follow-up edition next year. That'll really be fun. This is all about people you liked. I want to read about people you hate. At JimCornette.com. All right, Jim, we have a lot of things to get to today, and we have a lot of follow-ups on things we've been talking about. Before anything, why don't we get the WWE TV out of the way? I have not been watching either show live anymore. It's just not enjoyable waiting to get to something, and when there's nothing at the end, then you're like, why did I just spend this entire night here? Watching it the next day on Netflix, you could fly by. At least for Raw. But why don't we start with what you saw on SmackDown?
Well, you can fly by. Well, that's the thing. You can fly by on SmackDown even easier, because it's still on regular television for the time being. So you can just DVR that puppy and just hit that ×3, and you can see when somebody's face pops up that you're interested in, and or what they might be doing before you invest your time in sitting there watching again the travel logs and the blah, blah, blah. And do you know what I would like to report, Brian, to the people, the cult of Cornette? What the main event, the best part of, and pretty much the only interesting thing was, and I use that term loosely, on SmackDown last week, was Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black. And Drew McIntyre ran in, and now Drew is suspended. Does he need dental work too? What the? And I mean, I know Cody liked this guy from AEW, but at this point, is there any interest? Now, was he Alistair there and Malachi here, or Malachi here and Alistair there? Where from was Mr. Black from?
He was Malachi there. He's Alistair here.
All right. Well, he ought to be out on his keister here. No,
did you watch any of this? Because
no, not really. I was zipping through, and suddenly I realized that was it. But go ahead.
I mean, he's not going to win. They're not going to elevate him and have him beat Cody. So then you're like, what are we doing here? And their thing in AEW not only really didn't click, it backfired. It turned out everyone started booing Cody. They got him now with his wife, Zelina Vega.
Yeah.
It was a hell of an entrance, and she's super talented. I think she's more talented than he is. But it comes across almost like, well, we don't have Karrion Kross and Scarlett, so we're gonna do this with them instead. That's kind of the way it felt to me, and I don't know why I thought that.
The man and wife entrance slot has been taken by
with smoke and lip syncing and just like the whole thing. It was like, wait a minute, this is Kross and Scarlett's act.
Well, but also you said something earlier where you said, we know he's not going to win, but that's not it. I know a lot of times but I'm not interested in watching him work because I don't like it, because I haven't been interested in him since he was there.
Oh, he gets
now not interested in him now that he's over here now.
I always forget what he sounds like, and then they play like audio of him doing a promo or something, and it's always like the same reaction. The first few seconds, I'm like, who is that? And then it's like, oh, it's that guy supposed to be scary, whispering to me.
That's a lot of people think they need to, they can think they need to, I was starting to say, but more like think they can be spooky. Or they want to do a Jake Roberts thing, a menacing. And it's an aura you have to project along with the material. And too many people want to be spooky, and not enough people want to just be a plain old monster movie. Here comes Frankenstein. God damn it, grab a pitchfork. Oh, Jesus, he's throwing me in the lake.
And he's got a girl.
There you go. Anyway, she's under his arm. That's what, and they're wanting to do the fucking Hammer film Peter Cushing voiceover part instead of the fucking here comes goddamn Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman part. Nevertheless,
it comes across more, less Christopher Lee, less Peter Cushing, more Wally Cox. I don't know. I don't take him seriously. Like whispering to me whatever his mystical thoughts are. It just doesn't do it.
He's very mystical, very mystical. But again, the takeaway is that Drew got suspended, but that has to be some type of story business. And I joked, is he going to the dentist with, Fatu? But what? I haven't heard anybody really say anything about it. Doesn't appear to be that he's publicly injured or anything. So we'll see I wish that he would be on more and do more, and other people, Drew, that is, and other people be on less and do less.
We just talked about what should Cody do next. CM Punk, we kind of asked the same question. He got Logan Paul. Well, again, what is Cody doing? What are they doing to make people interested in Cody right now?
As we'll get to Raw, it seems like now that face-off between Cena and Cody, it was almost like the big belt was the Intercontinental belt, and Cody's oh, hey, how you doing? Champ to champ, yeah.
John Cena, I'll save my thoughts until we get to Raw, but any other SmackDown thoughts here?
Yeah. They need to do more interesting shit and less of the not interesting shit on SmackDown. That's my thought.
Well, good luck with that. That was WWE SmackDown for the 7th of November. Jim, WWE Raw, last night as we are recording, November 10th, 2025. What did you see on Raw?
Well, now we get to the meat of the matter, because they were in Boston, Beantown, Bowserville, baby. 17,671 fans to see John Cena's last time in Boston. It's like the old saying in a wrestling business, maybe such and such promoter died, and the guys say, boy, he had a big crowd at his funeral, and give the people what they want to see, they'll come out for it. And were you automatically like about halfway through Triple H's in-ring flowery intro, the build-up that if he had paused, he was starting to get whatted? Was that just him wanting to stick his face in there?
Yeah.
Or at least want to do that long?
That was him wanting to be the promoter doing that in the role of being the Dana White at WWE. That was him drawing things out the same way he would when he wrestled or did promos 20 years ago when people stopped watching the show en masse. I think he went up to John Cena before and said, all right, we got 20 minutes. I'm taking 11. I mean, he took a while to get there, but it was really cool once we got there.
I wrote the long and winding intro that leads to your music.
Well, think about it, too.
Where Triple H wants the rub. Go ahead.
Well, think about it, too. Triple H is never going to get this kind of night, more than likely, because his hometown is New Hampshire. I guess this may even be the closest arena.
Wait, his hometown is New Hampshire?
Well, it's a place in New Hampshire. You know what I mean. Whatever town he's from, Nashua, New Hampshire, wherever it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's from a place in New Hampshire.
And you remember DX, of course. It was 4 guys and a girl. Or 4 people and a girl. I can't do anything right here. My point is, Triple H is never
up your own line. You're killing me.
Triple H is never.
I'm dying.
Listen, Inoki, Triple H is never going to get a night like this in a hometown. So he decided to take a lot of Cenas in his hometown.
Hey, Triple H will probably be able to afford to just fly everybody from Nastyville, New Hampshire, or whatever, to a goddamn building at a theater near you whenever he wants to do it.
He was doing his intro, and he was like, I've been a star, I've been a wrestler, I've been a promoter, I've been a businessman. And I'm like, when have you been a businessman? I don't know about this.
I can put my stamp of approval on this man about to come out here. But the concept of Triple H as the Dana White figurehead guy is not unheard of and wouldn't even have been scoffed at by me had he kept it a little to the fucking point and not glommed the rub off onto himself quite so much. And then they play Cena's music, and it's Boston with 17,671 people or whatever, and it's his hometown, and here we go. And the thing I thought was interesting is they started the Cena chants at the start. He didn't milk it. He didn't tell him to stop, but by the way that he started speaking and things he did, he started the promo, and they still did a thank you Cena, which again he didn't gratuitously drag out. And there's ways he could have stood a different way and done that, or just had an expression. But he knew this thing was going to take a while already, and he probably was like, fuck, this is the first hour of the show if I don't get to the point. Did you get that idea? Anybody else would have milked this so much fucking more. This cow would have been dry.
I thought they milked it just enough after Triple H had milked it for so long.
Yeah, I'm starting the clock when he quit talking.
Also, the Dominic thing is coming. And if there was anything to milk, it was the way the fans were going to be going crazy for that entire segment. So maybe he was just waiting to get to that.
Well, he got right into the deal. What is my goal? I wanted to leave the business better than I found it. I want to give back opportunities. And he plugged the Last Time Is Now tournament, which will, not to get off on a subplot. And then he announced on the Saturday night's main event on December 13th, NXT talent will get a chance to have quote unquote exhibitions with top WWE talent. Now let's stop here for a second before we get into the meat of this matter. And what do you think they're going to, what are you laughing already?
I'm laughing. He's afraid he's going to upset the athletic commission. Why else would you talk like that?
Well, that's, I know an exhibition in what I think the terminology they're going to try to use is that he just wants the young folks that are up and coming talents to get a chance to be recognized by the wider audience and show their skills. But it's an exhibition where the top guys, they're not really trying to kill here. They're not trying to maim and win at all costs. And that's the way you would have set up, which I assume is kind of what they may be going to do, an exhibition match in the old days where the old veteran is going to face, some guy, a workout exhibition, whatever, and then shit happens. Most of the time shit doesn't happen, but that's when you set it up, then the shit happens. So yeah, they have to be setting up that one of these exhibitions is going to lead to, I would think, only one specific of the NXT talents winning, embarrassing the veteran, reversing his hold, whatever do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's a card filled with those kind of exhibitions, that's where it gets a little interesting. It's not just like, one NXT guy gets a chance. Javon Evans gets a chance against whoever. If it's all exhibitions, NXT versus main roster. Then it really becomes, what is this going to be?
Well, but it's also going to be, that's his last match against, whoever the winner of the Now tournament is. But is it going to be, again, like like a 5-minute thing? Is it going to be like a segment of exhibitions? Okay, well, here's this, and they get to go 5 minutes, and maybe they go through. Or maybe the NXT guy, then the next one wins or loses in 4.5 minutes. And then they have one and they go through, but the NXT guy was looking good and he asked for 5 more. Again, I'm just making this shit up, but they probably are too.
Oh, no, I see here they have a new name of the show. It's John Cena's final match. Also, TKO says, fuck you, Peacock. We're going to give you exhibitions. Fill out our contract.
Well, but here's the thing. That's when then the guy asks for 5 more minutes, and then they fucking, some way or another, the young upstart wins the thing. And then if it's a heel and the goddamn established star kicks a shit out of him, and you started something. I don't know what they're going to do, but exhibitions, if it's not something of that nature, I don't know why they would be calling them exhibitions. And then, did you notice when he said he was referring to the city of Boston and said he saw his first WWF match when he was a kid right down the street at the old garden? They bleeped the F in WWF.
Yeah.
When he was referring to it in historical fashion. How the fuck would somebody be that quick, the 7-second fucking button, to be able to catch that one letter, and they can't bleep fuck out of the chants in the crowd?
Did you see it live or you saw it the next day?
I saw it the next day.
Yeah,
but
me too. It was
would they have gone back and for that?
Remember when they edited the Ultimate Warrior's Hall of Fame speech because he said that Jerry McDevitt lost a case to the WWF, actually? Now that I think about it, we're bringing it full circle back to the F. They edited that out before they released it. They'll do that for anything.
In a historical fashion, I would think that that's so minute. Who would... All right. Anyway. So then, as he said thank you to everybody, that's where Dominic interrupted. And here came Dom, and that AAA belt looks like an ashtray from a gimmick stand in Cancun, doesn't it? What the fuck are they doing with that? The WWE belts are bad enough these days, but it looks like it's copper. So then they tried to chant, bleep, shut the fuck up, and they got most of them. But here they're booing the shit out of Dominic, not because they're bored and or disinterested and they've latched onto an audience participation thing, but because they genuinely are booing him specifically because he's confronting Cena. And he did a great job. He hung with Cena. He wasn't intimidated. The facials, the body language, whatever. He is so much better now than he was, well, every year before. But I mean, from 5 years ago, this is insane. And Dominic told Cena, you speak when you're spoken to, or I'll put you down. And the fans start chanting, you fucked up. You fucked up. And Cena told Dominic off, and the people loved it. And right up to his face, I'll fucking kick the shit out of blah, 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 whatever the fuck. But he gave him a chance to leave due to his respect for Dominic's father. And Dominic's facials are great there because he's scoffing and he's chewing that gum. And what a slappable face. And he tells Cena that he's better than Cena ever was. And I will always be better than you. We're at any time, any place, any era in your career, blah, blah, blah. And then here comes Triple H. And see, this is the part where an announcer or representative of the promotion, an authority figure, whatever, where they should be used. And Triple H steps in. Well, you said anytime, any place. Well, this looks like a good time and place, and right now. And it's Cena against Dominic for the Intercontinental title, and the place blows because they didn't think they were going to get that. Or at least they didn't. Before Dominic walked out there, they probably they don't advertise things anymore. So Triple H called for the referee. The fans are up. We go to the break. That's a break spot. And that's like the first half hour of the show. But it was good. I don't know. What did you think? Am I being too
no.
effusive?
This was better than, I shouldn't even say better than I would have thought it would have been. Dominic Mysterio just hits home runs. He's the best heel in the business right now. And he knows what he's doing in there. Like you said, his facial expressions, his reactions, the nonsense of him saying, I'll put you down. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it worked. And it got a big reaction. And you want to talk facial expressions, Cena's face when he's saying these things.
Yes.
They're fucking ridiculous. This was good.
And Dominic says it like he means it. It's like this is the idea. He's so swell-headed, egotistical with his fame, and he had his mommy, and then he had his daddy, and I don't know, whatever the fuck, that he's legitimately lost grip like that. And that's the point. You have to be real. And he's got it. And that's why that it's classic.
Well, Jim, before we get to this match, I think we should mention that Triple H has been getting a lot of gruff online. You may have seen it. We may have discussed it here on the show. That the booking may not be exciting. The shows may not be exciting. However, you see someone like Dominic Mysterio here, and you say, that man sure knows how to pick 'em. We didn't think Dominic Mysterio was going to be the top heel in WWE, but Triple H, he said, I pick thee. And he got the push, and he's been elevated. And perhaps Triple H, if he ever did anything other than wrestling, may watch sports. And he may want to make some picks with his favorite sports, and we know how he can do that.
And many times you've seen Triple H enter the arena, and all eyes have been upon him as he picked his seat. But now, ladies and gentlemen, you can make picks on a variety of things. And imagine, once again, if they had one of these lineups and rosters on who is going to be the next wrestling star in 5 years over at Prize Picks. Well, we wouldn't have said Dominic. I just said that a few minutes ago. We would have been wrong. But if you had to pick that, well, you wouldn't have won any money because they didn't have the category at that point in time. Nevertheless, folks, Prize Picks is a skill-based fantasy game. You can have a daily fantasy. You can decide what your players are wearing and what type of positions that they enter the lineups in.
Well, no, it's not that kind
what
of
kind of jump ball they do and what kind of support they have to jump at these balls.
You can talk about and think about the athletic
Those are the
endeavors,
daily fantasies,
not
right?
the clothing. The clothing is not necessarily part of the deal here.
I thought if you downloaded the Prize Picks app and you said, well, I think that maybe so-and-so in the women's lingerie football league is going to wear such and such color or such and such, I don't know, square inch of, cloth over their lady parts or stuff, that would be, but no, we're going to go right to the other games like the football and the basketball that the men play and stuff. That's what we're doing.
Well, again, Jim, what we're talking about is a way for the listeners to download the Prize Picks app, and when they're watching the big game, they could say, hey, I think this guy's going to do this, and I feel very confident about that, and I have this great promo code. I think it's something like that.
Well, and I have no recollection of that, but you can make lineups on Prize Picks. You can take a variety of the players and just line them up against the wall and say, well, I think it looks like that son of a bitch that picked Granny's pocket. And then if it is, then you win prizes. That's why they call it Prize Picks.
Lineups for the
All
game.
you have to do is find the guy that picked Granny's pocket.
It's not that.
And you're going to.
It's not.
It's player projections,
Yes.
and in that case, just pick who you think is more or less likely. More or less likely to pick Granny's pocket.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this has nothing to do with your granny. This is not your Gramley's. This is not your Gramley's picks. This
but
is Prize Picks.
You can pick on Grambling University. You can pick them to be over or under,
Friends,
or no. You can pick them to be more or less.
We can't make suggestions. We can't tell you how to do it. But if you're ready to make some picks, some projections, Prize Picks is there for you. Jim, we're having so much fun, but it's time to get to business. How can the listeners get hooked up with this wonderful app?
That's what you want to do. You want to download the Prize Picks app today and use the code JCE. To get $50 in lineups. $50 in lineups after you line up your first $5. All you got to do is put in the $5 is what I'm trying to say. And when you play your first $5 lineup, then you will get $50 in lineups, 10 times your original input and then go and just go crazy and pick more granny pickpocketers. Code JCE. $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on the Prize Picks app today. Prize Picks is good to be right.
Yes, indeed, Prize Picks, friends of ours. They can be friends of yours. But Jim,
I don't know whether I'm going to have to. I'm going to have them over another time or two before I know whether I want to include them in my personal social circle or just maintain a business relationship. But you don't have to be friends with them in order to take their money. Just be right.
All right, Jim, well, let's get back to your former friendship circle, WWE Raw.
Well, that was, it's Cena and Dominic for the Intercontinental title. And they had a good, again, John is not at the point where he's going to take a variety of risks of flying through furniture and etc., but that encouraged them to have a wonderful in the ring for the most part, except when people were getting run into the stairs, in-ring wrestling match that they put together, I thought very well. That Dominic got a lot of heat on him. And then John made the big comeback, and "You Can't See Me" was unanimous, just huge. But then they tried to have a classic roller coaster of a finish, and in my earnest and erstwhile opinion, just being a small town bird booker, they did an unnecessary spot and did a false finish that was better than the actual finish. And I think they just tried to get too cute. Here's what they did. Dominic posted Cena after foiling the attitude adjustment. And then Dominic goes over and unties turnbuckle pad and takes it off. And it walks away. So the referee sees it and goes over there and just, he's just going to take time to goddamn Betsy Ross this fucking turnbuckle pad back on the turnbuckle with his back completely turned to the Intercontinental title match on live television. Like that's not what the heel wanted him to do. It just made the referee look stupid then, which was to me a distraction subliminally for some of the people in the audience. And then while the referee's doing that, Dominic goes out and gets a chair and tosses it to Cena and then falls down, or hits the mat, tosses it to Cena and then falls down. Well, then Cena drops the chair and falls down too. And I again understand they're doing the homage to Eddie Guerrero and the old trick that he used to use as a false fit. But again, with what else is going on here, they've muddied the water. They were going well. The referee turns around and looks at both of them down and is overacting, looking from one to the other like, oh my God, what could have happened? Instead of just counting. He didn't start to count. Then Dominic finally just bolts upright, pissed, and grabs the chair, and he and the referee have the tug of war. The referee pulls the chair. And as soon as Dominic turns around, Cena picks him up for the attitude adjustment, and they bump the referee. They're just going in different directions. Then Cena gets the STF, and Dominic taps, but there's no referee. So Cena jumps up. Oh, but he can't find the referee. He realizes that he hasn't won after all. But meanwhile, while he's looking for the referee, who's obviously laying out on the goddamn floor where he can see, Dominic goes and gets a title belt and comes back in the ring and swings, and he ducks and picks up fucking Dominic, gives him the attitude adjustment, pitches the belt out. A new referee runs down, slides in, the cover, 1, 2. He kicked out. Dominic kicked out. So the match continued. And then Dominic hit a 619 and went up to the top rope and did the frog splash. But when he frog splashed him, Cena rolled through and picked him up and boosted him and gave him the attitude adjustment, 1, 2, 3, and won the belt. But in doing so, he no-sold the frog splash. Brian, first of all, have you ever seen anybody roll through a frog splash?
I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
But you have seen multiple people over the course of all the years of wrestling roll through on a crossbody off the top.
Yes, that's common.
Because there is some rolling momentum to that. It works not only because of physics, it would technically work without cooperation, but also it flows, it works. You haven't actually been struck with anything by a crossbody except the weight of the guy until you land on the ground, and if the momentum takes a blah, blah, blah. But in this case, Dominic, who has been beating people with the frog splash, gives Cena the frog splash and lands flat on him. And then Cena kicks his legs up and rolls over and picks him up. Hell of a display of strength. But he no-sold the frog splash. Do you see what I'm saying to you here on the difference in these things?
Of course. Again, I don't remember ever seeing it on a frog splash before.
Because it never been done. But not all things that have never been done should be done. But that's this got so busy that I think the spot with the chair, while cute, was unnecessary. You know, throwing the chair and laying down, and they had the people with Cena's comeback. It was going. And then all of a sudden that slowed everything down. And then when they got going again, they bumped the referee, but they had the new referee run in. Cena was going to win and he was on top. The new referee running in, counting to 3, would have gotten a bigger pop than the finish they actually did. If they had him right there, it would have been perfect. But instead, they do 2 more moves. Cena is unfazed by Dominic's frog splash and hits the AA, which is we're back where the fuck we were a minute ago, for still a great pop. But the false finish was better than the real finish. Say it ain't so. Prove me wrong.
I mean, I'm kind of immune now just because it's too frequent, and that doesn't mean it's good with the false finishes for everything. We point out that everyone kicks out of everything. Here they kind of tied it in a little bit with the referee bump. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I thought the pop they got for Cena winning was pretty extraordinary, actually.
Oh, it was. But
May have been the biggest pop for someone winning that belt since the Ultimate Warrior at the Garden in '88.
If you go back and look at the momentum and the way they had that going and the reaction of the new referee running in and the fucking right to that 1-2 kick, that would have been, they would have all come in their pants and had to take them all to the dry cleaners. The seats would have been sticky. The babies would have been thrown so far up in the air that when they landed, they would have been spread across them like fucking jelly on a biscuit. It would have been a spontaneous ectoplasmic explosion. I sound like Oliver Humperdinck now. They had him. They didn't need the goddamn deal.
People there were really happy. It was a big moment. What do you do now? Cena's the Intercontinental Champion.
Well, this does bring that up, doesn't it? Again, I'm astonished that even in character, as the young folks say, that John Cena has just never referred to the fact that Brock Lesnar just came out and just beat him like he fucking owed him money, just like a red-headed stepchild, as they used to say back in the old days. And he doesn't want to get even before he fades off in the sunset. He's embarrassed, ashamed. He's never going to mention it again. That strikes me as so odd. And I assume this is too, and we'll see what happens, but I would think that the obvious thing is for Cena to then put Gunther over for the Intercontinental title on his last night on Saturday night's main event. That will actually be him doing a job that will do some good for somebody, whereas the one to Brock didn't accomplish anything long term, and they're not even talking about it. Have I missed all that conversation about it?
He's been nothing but cheery and happy since Brock beat the shit out of him. We haven't seen another mention.
Well, I guess he adjusted his attitude.
I guess so.
Son of a bitch.
I hate to say it, but that was the only part of Raw I cared about. I thought it was a great first 40 minutes or whatever it was of Raw, and nothing else on that show was going to live up to it, and going through it on Netflix this morning, I was right.
Well, did you see the Punk and the Paul and the Bronze part?
Yes, I saw a bit of that.
And you were completely unimpressed. I would say there was about a minute and a half or so of that was good. And it was all when Punk said that AJ would leave all four of them in a pool of her own piss and blood. But Punk basically had to call Logan Paul out. And Logan Paul came out and for the first time really just didn't say fucking much of anything. Were you waiting for him to do something that he normally does, and he just he didn't know what the fuck he was doing, did he? On the promo, just stand there in the entranceway. Did he make a point or say anything?
No, I mean, this is not the usual Logan Paul. Now, he does have a manager now who's known for doing most of the talking for his guys and getting most of the points across, so it's a little different.
Well, but Ric Flair had J.J. Dillon, but at the same time, there need to be something there. And then he kind of brought Paul and the Bronze out, and Paulie picked it up a little bit, talking about what an unlikable, obnoxious, worthless, cretinous humanoid that Punk is, which I'm sure there was a lot of inside terminology in there. And there with the heels circled the ring, and Punk's all alone, but suddenly Jey Uso comes in from out of a helicopter somewhere. And then they play Cody's music and he runs in and they have a 6-way and the heels run off. And that was, besides 2 tournament matches with guys that ain't going to win and a girls tag team match, that was the whole show.
Yeah, not a pretty picture. That was WWE Raw. But the Cena thing was pretty good. Gotta say that.
We're spoiled now.
By who?
When we get when we get something that's good, we actually, well, the Cena thing was good. It's like we've been in a fucking bottom of a well and suddenly we get to eat freshly molded bread. Oh, it's a gourmet meal.
Well, Jim, on the topic of WWE, the state of WWE, not everyone is unhappy. I have some quotes here from Mark Shapiro, who was on the main event with Andrew Marchand. Mark Shapiro, of course, is the is he CFO? Or what is he?
Chief fucking officer?
I forget what his exact title is. TKO president, Mark Shapiro. In talking about premium live events, here's a quote about, I guess, referring to WrestlePalooza and referring to Nick Khan and Paul Levesque. And yet, they're open to new ideas. They never seem exhausted. They're ready to take on a new shot, a new risk, a new opportunity. Hey, Nick, let's talk about launching a new event. Right now, a lot of our premium live events were created by Vince McMahon. We need to get in the business of taking that torch and moving past that. And Nick and Triple H created WrestlePalooza, which is the launch event for our new ESPN deal, which did incredibly well and may turn into a super franchise. Not to mention, from a merch standpoint, I don't need to tell you, securing the IP rights...
I don't got to tell you. Oh, yeah, from that standpoint, I don't got to tell you.
Securing the IP rights and then selling merch at WrestlePalooza? Let's just say it was a real winner.
What the...
So let's stop there. I don't even know exactly what to ask you about. It's a crazy quote in a way, because it's an outsider looking at a business that he sees as right now just printing money. We have to get away from the Vince McMahon premium live events. Triple H and Nick Khan invented WrestlePalooza. And thankfully we got the IP so we can make all this merch money on WrestlePalooza. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, the name's 20 years old. We know that much to begin
30.
with. But 30, well, 30, it was the 90s. That's right.
Yeah.
Jesus, oh my God, how time flies. I'm not bad at math. I'm just so much older now. But the point is, they didn't even invent the name, and it's not like it... To invent a show that is a different kind of big event or pay-per-view or PLE or whatever area you come from, you want to call it, that is more than just a name of a show, you have to have some type of... If you don't have some type of theme, then you have to build some kind of history. If it's not a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view where, okay, we're going to get a Hell in a Cell, female and male divisions. That was invented by Vince McMahon, the Elimination Chamber. That could go away, in my opinion, and so could the Hell in a Cell, because it's just goddamn so much bullshit these days. But you can't just say, well, we created a new name that's not even a new name, and there was no trademark thing of the show, right? Unless you start having a history behind it. And Survivor Series and WrestleMania and Royal Rumble, those have... And SummerSlam, 2 days in a fucking stadium, those have history that you don't want to just, oh, fuck, no. Just because Vince came up with that, we're going to keep it because everybody knows it. Those are the big ones. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then why don't you tell me?
But again, going to the mindset of this guy who's in charge, just hearing the way he's talking about it, what does that tell you?
He's not from wrestling. He's not day to day, minute by minute involved in wrestling. He has no history of major inside knowledge of wrestling. So he's trying to say positive things, but hopefully there are people, when it comes to actual decisions that are made, that have a little more grip on what the fuck's going on and what you should and shouldn't keep just because it's, Vince McMahon's.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're dealing with a time where fans are openly complaining about ticket prices, where shows are not selling out anymore, where the TV isn't as hot as it was, where often it seems like things are stale and not moving. You get a little concerned when you hear the guy in charge talking about it, just like everything's there, again, to print money. Oh yeah, we were able to do this, create this event. It was a brand new super franchise, a super franchise, whatever the fuck that means.
Well, yeah, he's also being so, again, insufferable with the, yeah, let me tell you, oh, we made big money on that. It's just, it's a little egregious. Vince liked to be known as a successful businessman, but do you notice that because this was an old time promoter thing. I've told you what Jerry Jarrett said about it. He said he didn't want to remind people how much money they paid to come and see his hero wrestling stars. He wanted to remind them of how much they enjoyed coming to see that. They didn't want to talk about the money that he took from the fans. Vince would not brag as much as a lot of company executives about the actual goddamn amounts of money he was making, except maybe if it was a sponsorship deal or a deal with another company, right? I'm not, he didn't just beat the fucking grosses to death. Crowd sizes, yes, but not the grosses. Am I misremembering this?
I mean, again, I think Vince, like you said, he wanted to be known as this big success, but he liked having some mystery behind. He liked being able to say he was the Walt Disney with the magic touch. He wasn't the guy hyping up other people in his company while trying to sell you on how great his company is.
But he also wasn't bragging to the let them eat cake type of thing. He was smart enough to realize that that's why he played poor old millionaire Vince against billionaire Ted. He didn't rub until recent years when he went completely out of his mind and began the pooping episodes and all these other things. He didn't rub his wealth, personal wealth and company grosses off of the wrestling fans and wrestling fans' face as much as these people are. So they ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, in the past, too, we've always said if they're making all this money, they got to pay the wrestlers better. Apparently they are. Apparently they're paying a lot of wrestlers a whole lot of money, more than they used to. So we'll see what happens going forward. But Jim, one thing Mark Shapiro appears to be confident about is their ability to sell. Whether it's tickets, whether it's interest, whatever it may be.
Yes.
And lots of other people out there, mom and pop, as well as son and daughter. Of course, child is the father
cousin
of man.
and cousiness.
Well, everyone needs
the mother, father, sister, brother.
Well, that's right. But of course,
the mother and child reunion.
But who's left out of the equation here? The cousin.
Well,
and that's what we're talking about. Someone who could be the
cousins
cousin.
The cousins are not allowed to equate with each other.
Well, we're talking about someone who could be a dependable cousin for you, there to help your business. Cousin Shopify.
Well, and Cousin Shopify will come to your front porch, dancing to fiddle music. And swing your partner, do-si-do, kick him in the balls and step on his toe. And there'll come Cousin Shopify, one of the hillbillies, the scuffling hillbillies. He'll be riding his little bicycle, too, with the little flag on it from back home in Possum Holler.
That is the Shopify sound.
And Cousin Shopify is there to help you sell all of your various products. Let's say you're canning possum victuals and collard greens and chortles and such from down on the farm.
What are you saying?
Let's say it's a food delivery type of business where you're canning these items and you need to get the word out to the world. Well, Shopify, Cousin Shopify can give you that leg up from day one. They can help you with the website. They can help you with the built-in marketing and email tools that they have to find and keep new customers. The purple Shop Pay button, it's iconic. It's ironic how iconic it has become. Gilbert and Sullivan couldn't have said it better. Accompanied by that sound, it means you're making money. Except to me, if you're making a lot of money, the sound should be a lot heavier. I think it should sound like possibly the Liberty Bell falling on your fucking nuts. Boom. Sort of like the intro of Hell's Bells by AC/DC instead of that flippant little ping. Sounds like somebody beans you with a goddamn copper penny.
This is money coming your way through Shopify.
Well, it needs to hit you in the face like a ramrod. That iconic purple Shop Pay button is used by millions of businesses around the world. Every time somebody punches it, somebody gets paid, because Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States and around the world, from here to Guatemala and back around to the Arctic Circle and over to Greenland. Turn left and head to Albuquerque. It's all over the place, folks. And right now, if you want to see less carts being abandoned and more money being poured into your pocket, literally with a funnel, they'll stick the thing in your pocket and they'll just pour it right in there. And when it's filled up, you're done. Move along. It's time for the next rube. It's time for you to head over to Shopify.
They don't think you're a rube. They think you're a partner, and they want to make their partners money. We trust them with our business, and of course, we want to make sure the listeners know they, too, can trust the wonderful people at Shopify.
Well, yes, you can trust them with your life, which you're going to eventually be signing over to begin with, and you can trust them with every penny you've got, which they'll end up with to begin with.
That's not how it works. They will not. That's not how it works. They will not be doing any of those things. They'll be helping you.
There's a clause. What happens if they do all this work and you don't take care of yourself, and boom, you die of a heart attack? Is all their time supposed to be just wasted? They'll then come and take your identity. And
no, they will not
sell that on the black.
They're not going to do any of these things.
You're not going to be using it anymore.
Again.
So they'll sell it on the black market to recoup some of their investments, and then someone can replace you.
None of these things are part of the working agreement you'll have with the wonderful people and the reliable people, the trustworthy business that is Shopify. They're there to help
you just
your business online.
Read the fine print.
The fine print says... it says, a great deal is coming to town with Shopify. Jim, how can the listeners try it out for the first time? A great deal has come to town.
Well, yes, and it's coming to town. You can sign up for your $1 a month trial period right now and start selling today at shopify.com/JCE. That is shopify.com/JCE. You can do that there right now. And you'll get a $1 a month trial period where you'll, boom, instantly be part of the family and start selling there. And you'll do that thing. And just as long as you're around, you'll reap the benefit. And then whoever the new John Smith is that takes your place, they'll have to start from scratch.
Again, it's an entertaining story, maybe a good book, but that's not the way things will go down. You can trust Shopify. We do. And we love working with Shopify. You will too. Jim, one more time, what's that promo?
And I love working with Albert Hansen on their staff. I've worked with the past 3 Albert Hansons.
There's no Albert Hansen. No, there's no Albert Hansen.
Oh, God damn, you don't have to get hot. Shopify.com/JCE.
All right, Jim, we're here for more fun. And of course, WWE.
Down by the riverside.
WWE is in the news, and there's still more WWE related stuff to talk about, so why don't we do just that? We recently on your show, The Experience, talked about Ridge Holland, who was terminated by WWE after they told him they weren't going to bring him back. He went online, he had a few comments about his living situation and the cost of living and how this was really going to mess him up. So then they fired him. But
9 days early.
Have you been following this story since we discussed it?
I have unfortunately not had time to follow Ridge down his path because I've been signing books. What is he already in the box under the overpass? Have they given the kids to Child Protective Services? Is he out in the street? What's going on with Ridge? It's been almost a week.
I have a report here from the Wrestling News, of course, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Luke Menzies, who wrestled in WWE and NXT as Ridge Holland, has released a statement regarding the GoFundMe account that was recently set up for him in the wake of his early contract termination by WWE earlier this month.
They've robbed the box office. They've robbed the box office. All the money's gone. Is that what he's saying?
Well, that's not exactly what he's saying, but here's a quote. "Thank you all for the incredible support shown through the GoFundMe campaign. However, I want to clarify that I was not aware the page was going live and had no prior discussion with the family member who created it.
What?
I've since requested that no further donations be accepted, and this change should take effect within the next 24 hours. Once we figure out how to move forward and I recoup the amount donated, I'll be donating said amount to charity."
I've recouped the amount donated. He's trying to make a professional statement and not aware of all of his grammar.
I will be donating.
He wouldn't recoup the amount donated until he would get the amount donated. He hadn't laid it out. You would have to lay it out to recoup it.
Or maybe he's a criminal mastermind and he's laying out his scheme. Who knows? But let's go back to this.
Recouping, nevertheless.
I'll be donating said amount to charity. I sincerely apologize if the page caused any upset or offense. That was never the intention. Thank you for your understanding and kindness. It has since been revealed that it was his mother who set up the page.
The what?
His mother.
No, wait. I was about to ask, family member, did some cousin just, having some issues go off the deep end? This was the, whatever. The last thing, I can't take it. I got to help Ridge or something. But his mother, he's a 37-year-old man, and his mother put up a GoFundMe for him without telling him, or I think that was worded in an unwieldy fashion. I was not aware the page was made live. I just knew she was working on it. But would your mother, if you were a grown adult near the age of 40 that had been working for a large organization for the last several years and making more money than most wrestlers usually used to make, would she just instantly say, "Oh my God, he's not going to get a check next week. He's going to be in the streets. I got to do a GoFundMe and have people donate"? What is going on here, Brian?
I don't know exactly. Because the other thing, too, is it doesn't exactly make you stand out to the other employers out there. Oh, you know what? I want to hire this guy. Maybe his mom can handle our social media.
Yeah, fuck you. He'll work for beans from the garden. You know what? He's obviously in dire straits. We can get him for us to just let him sleep in the fucking storage room. He'll work for free.
Does he live in Florida like so many of the guys do nowadays?
Last time I stalked him, I can't remember.
I'm just thinking if he did, one of the reasons Florida's pitched itself as being a benefit to people was the low cost of living. So again, if you have a place in Florida, he said he had a mortgage, he has to have neck fusion surgery. I want to say we read he had 4 kids. Is that right?
Well, no, I think somebody said 3.
Okay.
I saw more, but I think the article that we were reading from, we talked about it, said 3. But nevertheless, the neck fusion surgery, while certainly not something that any of us would want to undergo, is not costing him anything. It's not a financial burden to him because they're paying for that, which they should. And obviously he can't just nip right up and, have a full-time job of some description right after this surgery. So he's going to be out of work. But one would think that being almost 40 with a history of injuries and, as we mentioned, a wife and family, a lot of guys almost 40 with a wife and 3 kids and a mortgage want to be rock and roll stars. But they need to have some savings to finance that, or elsewise they need to transition into another career somehow. So we were aghast, as apparently a bunch of people were, a GoFundMe this quick. Jesus Christ, his last check isn't fucking deposited yet. And it's miscommunication in the family. But
again, too, but even before the GoFundMe, it all comes back to the mindset of knowing your contract's running out and getting them to fire you days earlier.
yeah, he could have just held on to that comment for 9 days, and then he could have got that last check and then said the same thing. Because I don't think it's going to be like he's going to be going back in the system anytime in the near future. So, but again, it hit people wrong, I think, because as I mentioned when we talked about it originally, there's people making fucking 40 grand a year, maybe even not, whose kids have cancer or whatever with GoFundMes. And hard to sympathize, Ridge.
Well, that's the update on formerly known as Ridge Holland. Now will certainly be something else.
Now known as Mud. His name is Mud. Do you know where that expression came from, Brian Last?
No.
And do they even say it anymore? The kids, they don't say anything fun these days. But for years and years, when somebody had a bad reputation or had been just really talked bad about, his name is Mud around here. That comes from the name of the doctor that unwittingly set John Wilkes Booth's leg after he broke it after assassinating Abraham Lincoln. Dr. Mud.
Huh. No shit. I just thought it was because I thought it was because you guys had a lot of mud in the South.
No, as a matter of fact, this was up north in Washington, D.C.
Oh, it's a complete switcheroo.
Yeah.
It's like Bizarro.
It's the Bizarro world. But his name was Mud from then on out.
Well, good luck, Ridge Mud. But Jim, on the topic of WWE news, I'll go back to a report here from the Wrestling News, available each and every morning, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Jim, let me know what you think of this story. Rapper and music producer Westside Gunn has had a public falling out with the WWE.
Uh-oh.
Putting out a social media post yesterday that was highly critical of the company.
Boy, I hate it when the kids fight out in public.
In it, Gunn mentioned being kicked out of a taping of Monday Night Raw in his hometown of Buffalo, New York this past March, where he had paid $5,000 for ringside seats.
Wait a minute, hold on. He was kicked out of a taping in $5,000 ringside seats that he alleges he paid for.
In his hometown.
In his hometown. There's got to be another side to that story. But go ahead.
Tensions between Gunn and WWE continued after the company sent him a cease and desist letter for using its intellectual property without permission, including samples of WWE audio in his songs and 2 album covers featuring pictures of Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase and Virgil, released in August. In addition to his work in the music industry.
Well, wait. I could understand maybe samples of the audio or whatever, but goddamn, now you can't show a picture of a guy that used to work there. What is, is it their photography?
I guess if it's their picture, if it's one.
Well, it's theirs, and they don't like to share.
In addition to his work in the music industry, Gunn is also a wrestling promoter himself.
Oh, good Lord!
And operates Fourth Rope Wrestling, which has produced
rope wrestling, something that doesn't exist. That's perfect.
Which has promoted events throughout the United States and France.
Where? Where? Give me a town in the United States. I don't know French geography. Give me a fucking town in the United States that they promoted a big wrestling event.
What about France? Yeah, I mean, France is a whole other thing than a town in the United States.
Well, and they just bopped over to Marseille. Well, first of all, is this a deal because of, the trademark thing before when Westside Gunn was a member of the Smoking Guns, or was Billy and Bart and Westside?
Well, no, he was not a member of the Smoking Guns, just apparently a fan.
Didn't we? I've heard the name in connection with a wrestling program. Did he not rap for someone somewhere, sometime at something?
It was in Buffalo for AEW. What was it, Swerve, or was it someone else?
Was that the guy that called the other guy the big big motherfucker?
That's Rick Ross. He's from Florida.
Oh, he's not in this on this record. Well, it sounds like there has got to be something going on with this guy. As much as they chase any type of quasi celebrity and pseudo fucking D-list name on Netflix or whatever and feature them and let them play their attempts at music and make their attempts at wrestling and whatever. If anybody's heard of, if people have peeped in your goddamn window often over the last 6 months or so, they will put you on television and put you in the front row in the revolving celebrity seats and you don't have to pay. So if this guy had not only bought these expensive seats, but still got kicked out and they don't want to deal with him and they've got legal issues, there's more problems from this fellow, I would think, than is being told in this account of the situation.
I have a comment here from him on Twitter. He obviously pays, or he's a celebrity. He has a blue check mark so he can go on for a little bit. At Westside
As Mama
Gunn,
Cornette used to say, he do go on.
At Westside Gunn on Twitter. Before I even say this, just know God is the greatest. For years, I mean, nobody with 2 feet has spent the amount of money I have supporting and pushing a brand I've loved since I could remember.
There was that one amputee, but nobody with 2 feet.
I sat front row at every big show, literally. All the good times it brought to my life, to the point when I started making music, I incorporated in everything like Wu-Tang did karate.
I'm sorry, can you back up and say that slower or something? I recognized almost all the words.
Wu-Tang Clan famously are really into a lot of the Shaw Brothers films, and they're named after, and they have songs and characters named after various characters and things and places and movies.
From the
classic
and words
kung fu movies
being said. Yes.
So he's saying
I love Lamb.
He was trying to do to WWE what they have done to Shaolin.
What all of them have done to music, but go ahead.
I made people who hated the product watch it again. I made it look cool. When at the time people thought it was nerdy, I've watched that same company sit countless of people next to me who's not even fans and act like I didn't exist. I was threatened to take everything out of my music, which I only did to pay homage, or my whole catalog would be demolished, and everybody knows how hard I've worked, coming from Buffalo, for me to get that threat for just supporting and being a real fan hurted me. But...
Well, hold on. Brian, you and I know some of these homage characters can cost you some fucking money unless you shut that shit down.
Yeah, again, he's basically saying, yes, I did whatever you're accusing me of, but I did it because I love you.
I love you. I'm your biggest fan.
Let me see. Let me get back to where we were. For me to get that threat for just supporting and being a real fan hurted me, but I stayed quiet and still, like a crazy man, sat front row because I love the culture. I even just went viral for spending $50,000 on sweets on my soul.
Wait a minute. What? Like Reese cups, Three Musketeers on 50 grand on sweets?
Obviously, he wants to have a good time.
Where the fuck is he shopping?
On my soul, I've only been respectful. I've tried having conversations with one individual because he's causing all of these unnecessary cases. And to be honest, he hates seeing a young black successful entrepreneur that could afford those seats and have to watch those chains dance across that screen. To the point, Monday Night Raw starts at 8 p.m. I was kicked out by 8:03 after... I was kicked out by 8:03. That beats Roy Lucier almost. After spending $5,000 for a seat, plus travel, hotel, etc. in my own city.
Did he climb up on the backs of the announcers in the opening on camera? What kind of stir was he making in 3 minutes that got him booted?
In my own city for absolutely nothing. No lie, the kid in me heart broke that day. I put that billboard up, that $1 Million Man billboard up, which he loves, and I wanted to push him in the culture because he deserves it. And to show Virgil love for the culture, I get a letter saying ... So I said, you know what? I'm going to show love only to the people that show love to me from now on. So you don't have to worry about me pushing that product over there again. And it's sad because I love them, but I have my own company, Fourth Rope. And yeah, we're the underdogs, but we love this shit. It's not about money. We're going to keep pushing culture.
Now, wait a minute. I'm happy to hear him say that. I thought he was delusional for a while.
It's not about money. We're going to keep pushing culture, and I'm honored to have Josh Bishop on the trilogy cover because he deserves it for believing in me from day one as my first official wrestler.
Who is Josh Bishop?
It appears to be a wrestler who has a...
Appears to be a wrestler, but appearances can be deceiving.
He's bleeding on the cover.
He's bleeding, but he's a wrestler. If he's bleeding, he's got to be a...
Obviously, this man's a wrestler, Jim. What is the problem?
Think about this. How many other people in any line of work in the world do you see pictures of bleeding on a regular basis? Do you have a picture of anyone in your house, Brian, bleeding except for wrestlers?
Only wrestlers. I have more photos of bloody people in my house than the average person, but they're all wrestlers.
You're like an Ed Gein of fucking bloody pictures.
Hey, look who's talking.
Well, there you go. And I was taking them too, baby. And it's a bloodbath here. Oh, God damn.
But obviously this is a wrestler.
I don't want to draw any troublesome comparisons, but is this kind of with Westside Gunn like a single white female type of situation where just getting too close and too clingy?
What if Jelly Roll didn't get the love back? You know, they love Jelly Roll as much as Jelly Roll loves Jelly. No, as much as he loves them.
Do you think they rolled Gunn over for Jelly? They can only have one fucking musical icon?
Would WWE do this over him owning an indie company that we have not heard of before? They may have a following, but would they do it for that reason?
Good Lord, no. Again, not at whatever level this company Google it while I'm rambling on. Top rope, Fourth Rope, right? Fourth Rope.
Right.
At whatever level that might exist, if he is a celebrity of any magnitude and can reach their young, hip audience that they're wanting and is not, again, in some way troublesome to deal with, then if he was putting on indie wrestling shows in a rec center somewhere like the clowns do before their concerts, I don't think Nick Khan would be offended.
Right. It appears I've gone to
show up anywhere?
I went to their Twitter. They got some good looking women over there. But I went now to their website, fourthrope.com, and the first thing I see is a picture of Enzo wearing a championship in the ring and Medusa's with him.
What?
I don't know what this is. Apparently Medusa. Apparently Medusa.
That's what it is. Medusa's home being a retired, successful fucking former pro athlete, and they got Medusa.
Well, she appears to be presenting Enzo with the championship belt.
And is there any way to tell if there's people in this audience? Does it mention any shows they have done or are going to do, or a talent roster, or a... By
the way, the championship belt, that's clearly modeled after the $1 Million Man's $1 Million Championship.
Oh, boy.
So
okay.
There's some IP to talk about some IP.
Uh-huh.
Trying to see if I recognize anyone else. Do they have a roster? Heels Have Eyes. I guess that's the name of their show. The Heels Have Eyes.
The Heels Have Eyes. I love it. Maybe this is an undiscovered gem.
Hold on. Here's their store. I'm looking for a roster.
Any acknowledgement that they've done an actual show or just a picture of her giving him a belt?
Well, hold on. Here's if I click Heels Have Eyes, this appears to be in Chicago. No, I mean, they got some fans there. I'm just scrolling through this. I'm not sure who any of these people are, but they're doing something. Hey, listen, we may not have heard of them, but it appears that they have a little fan base. I shouldn't say little, but they have a fan base for this product, and they're doing something and they're trying something. But again, with WWE, would they stoop to that? Would that be the reason for them?
No.
Or would it be something related to IP and...
Well, but it could be something related to this guy will not leave us alone about doing a crossover with his fucking wrestling promotion. I can see that happening.
And then you click store to go see what they have in their store, and they have 4... Oh, well, you got to see this. They got 4 shirts, but they're not real shirts. Example product title. Example product title. And they're just like, I don't think these are their shirts, and they're $20 for each of these example product titles that not one has anything to do with the other. There's no logo on them or anything.
I'm sure this is a labor of love for this fellow in his spare time, and he's got a little spendable cash, it sounds like, from whatever his rap ventures are. And I'm thinking he sounds really eager to the point where I can see where there could be some issues. I'm just saying.
If I scroll down, there's some wrestlers I've noticed here. It looks like Top Dollar, or formerly known as Top Dollar. Here's Joe Hendry. I guess he's appeared there as well. Lots of other people who don't look happy, but have nice jewelry. I mean, I guess that's really what counts. Mike Santana. Here's Mike Santana, TNA champion. Some guy staring me down. All right, well, that's... My thought would be you should have a roster page so we can look at your roster. Otherwise, I'm not exactly sure what the hell.
Well, if there is an upcoming show, it ought to be advertised, shouldn't it? Anything upcoming?
This Friday, 11/7. That was this... Oh, no, that's more for... It was a T-shirt for sale. I don't see any.
Is there actual
shows.
Advertisement? We are going to run a wrestling event in this location on such and such date and time.
No.
That doesn't sound promising.
Who's Top Tier Tiara? Let's get her on TV. But right, that's the update on Westside Gunn.
You want to take Top Tier Tiara to television?
I think she should be on television. Absolutely.
Well, that's tantamount to titillating the... I can't think of one.
The what, sir? That's what I'd like to know.
The whole Titten gang. I don't know.
All right, Jim, I saw a tweet a little earlier. I've recently seen a few things that have gone around with David Otunga. I believe he's making content on YouTube, and the first thing I saw was a few weeks back when everything was happening, I want to say with Andrade, and it was about the contracts and the independent contractor nonsense. And there's another video going around. I saw it yesterday as we are recording, where apparently TMZ has a very blue-lit show where they discuss wrestling, and he was on it talking about the Great Khali, and you didn't directly come up, but your program did.
Well, I saw it earlier today as we were recording, and I knew that it had something to do with TMZ because they put their bug on it in the video, and honestly, I would never have clicked on it because I wouldn't have recognized David Otunga and I'd have flipped by it, except OVW was mentioned. And I was like, what the fuck? And that's when I looked at it. So apparently David Otunga is telling a couple of marks that host this show or whatever. And it's more of a purple set. It looks like a Batman villain type of fucking shooting. But he's telling a story about he didn't take that two-handed choke slam from the Great Khali on purpose. He sandbagged him because he didn't want to take it because he killed somebody with that move in OVW. The quote was he killed somebody with that in OVW by accident. I was well aware of that. And then the two hosts, oh yeah, I forgot about that. You forgot about it because it didn't fucking happen. Great, and I don't even think it was a double-handed choke slam. The Great Khali in All Pro Wrestling in Northern California in the early 2000s when he had first begun any of his training from scratch. He did give a guy something or other. I don't know, and not germane to this story, what it was. And the guy broke his neck or whatever and died. Having said that, it wasn't OVW. And so I tweeted back, and it, as of this point from, where does it say there? About 2 hours ago, got 1,500 likes or whatever those little hearts are. But the message to David Otunga, if he didn't see the tweet, wrong wrestling school by about 2,300 miles, dipshit. Nobody was ever killed, paralyzed, or allowed to dive off balconies in OVW. And the Great Khali, nor any other lesser Khali, ever attended OVW. At TMZ needs to fact check their programming.
And it was a spine buster, I believe. It wasn't a choke slam. It was a spine buster.
Whatever the fuck it was, it didn't happen in OVW. We never killed anybody, as I mentioned. But this fucking Nimrod just doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. I mean, if it was modern day OVW, I'd say you might have something. They'd killed him with boredom. But no. So I expect TMZ to contact Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com with our settlement offer for this slanderous statement that was made on their air.
You know, APW, I don't believe, was developmental, whatever that meant at that time.
No, it wasn't. It was just Great Khali taking some wrestling school lessons.
From Roland Alexander. That's right.
Yeah, and I'm not... And they kind of said it wasn't his fault. The other guy took it wrong, whatever. I'm not adjudicating that. I'm not saying he did it on purpose. I'm not saying it was anybody's fault, but it didn't have anything to do with OVW. And I have a feeling if we'd ever had that guy at that stage of his game, that I would have had a ban on him picking people up over his head until at such point in time that I decided he could do it.
You have the details here. May 28th, 2001. All Pro Wrestling's APW boot camp. The trainee that passed away's name was Brian Ong, O-N-G. And they were practicing a spine buster. This is according to an article on the Sportster. The accident happened because of a botched spine buster. When Khali and Brian practiced the move, Brian made the mistake of grabbing Khali's shirt, and his tailbone hit first, and his head whipped back violently against the mat. He collapsed and was then taken to the hospital, where he lost his life. Ong's family later filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Roland Alexander and his APW. The suit claimed that APW failed to take care of Brian's well-being, considering the young prospect already had gotten a concussion weeks before due to the same move. APW knew this, but what did they do? They let Brian wrestle again, only after sitting out for 2 days of training. A few years later, the Ongs won the lawsuit.
Hold on. Now back up there. They said a few weeks before he got a concussion, but he only set out 2 days of training. What, did they train once a week?
I don't know.
And that's possible. I mean, so basically, this guy just got a concussion 2 or 3 weeks ago from taking a spine buster. So now that he's back in class, let's let him take a spine buster from the fucking giant rookie?
And it says here, a few years later, the Ongs won the lawsuit.
No shit.
And they were awarded $1.3 to $2 million in damages, which APW's liability insurance covered.
Good Lord.
And it was ruled, I guess, that it was not the Great Khali's fault, although clumsy and, again, involved, but I guess they did not find it his fault.
Well, and again, I try to liken it to the OVW program, and we had some big guys, and they did some, they all participated in the same kind of drill, especially when Rip was around. He was an equal opportunity abusive trainer. He'd whip them into shape. But I mean, we've seen the Great Khali when he's been an experienced professional for 10 years. And the way that he does things. I don't know that we would have, if we'd had him in OVW, especially at that stage of his career, 2001, this would be like his very first number of lessons. We would have had him doing all of his shit on the crash pad, which is like the big airbag thing that guys would practice their moonsaults on that Brock used for the shooting star, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, especially if a guy had had a concussion, he would have not have been in a spinebuster drill given or taken that quick, but especially not taking them from that fucking giant clubfoot clumsy motherfucker. So I can see why the lawsuit found against the school.
I remember how surprising it was when WWE hired him. Even though he was a giant, it wasn't like he was a giant that showed incredible in-ring skill that you couldn't ignore.
How many people is there in India?
Well, there you go.
They're always trying that one too.
Well, I believe they present him as a legend when they go over there. But Jim, I don't want you to get too upset about what happened here, about David Otunga, I guess you would say disparaging OVW and the system they had in 2001. Maybe you need a good night's sleep. Maybe you need to let these bad thoughts escape your mind. Maybe you need a chance to go off on Mitch McConnell to make you feel a little better about things. But of course, there's great product always. We love it here in this house from our friends at Cornbread Hemp.
Well, if you love it in your house, then don't get too comfortable because you might not have it more than another year, because now that the treasonous Democrats have caved into the Republicans and they're going to open the government and pass this spending measure, the last thing that Mitch McConnell is doing to try to spread misery to the people of the United States of America after he's spent a career doing it is pushing this bill through. That part of when they signed the bill, then hemp is done as an industry, a $300 million industry in the state of Kentucky, employing more people than the coal mining industry in the state of Kentucky now in the last 7 years because of the last bill that was signed to make it legal. Nothing with any measurable amount, even non-intoxicating amounts of THC, including the CBD gummies, will be illegal. Mitch is pushing this through personally, pushed this thing into the bill that they're about to sign because he said it's been called to his attention, probably by some of the dim-witted country county clerks that he talks to in Redneckville, Eastern Kentucky, why kids can get into this stuff and it's more potent than street drugs are today.
He didn't really say that, did he?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
On the news. That's because he's an 80-year-old man who has blackouts. He doesn't know. He thinks it's still reefer madness. He doesn't know what's going on. So anyway.
Maybe he could use something he wouldn't trip and fall down so often.
At least he'd feel better when he got back up. But the head, Jim, the head of Cornbread Hemp, said we've got a year once this bill passes for them to try to, and believe it or not, even Rand Paul, another Kentucky weirdo politician, but he's actually in the right for once on this one. For the state of Kentucky, if nothing else, he's trying to get an exemption passed. But if 1 year from now, if they don't do something nationwide, no CBD, no hemp, no THC products in anything. So write your congressman, or potentially just go up to your congressman and kick him in the nuts.
Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. That still is illegal.
Well, and also some of the Congress people don't even have nuts anymore. Most of them are female, but some of them are male. But you can go to cornbreadhemp.com right now is what you can do. Cornbreadhemp.com / I'll tell you what / is here in a second. It's JCE, and use the code JCE at checkout. And while you still can, while it's still available, you're going to get 30% off your first order. Cornbreadhemp.com / JCE code JCE for the purest and most potent CBD gummies that are on the market today to help you feel better, whether it's stress, discomfort, sleeplessness, or just needing a little relaxation. They're the most potent on the market today. That means they won't kill Granny or anybody else. It's not being sold in an alleyway. This wasn't cooked in somebody's kitchen, Mitch.
You'll get a good night's sleep.
That's the problem. Mitch doesn't want a good night's sleep. He's facing a long one. Cornbreadhemp.com/JCE, 30% off of your first order, which may be your last.
It won't be your last. Let's hope things get worked out because, again, a great product, a great partner of ours. We love them here in this house. Suzanne is a big fan of the CBD gummies. Cornbread Hemp. But Jim,
yes,
it is time that we mosey on over to the AEW side of the road. We have some interesting news here. I'll read you a report from the Wrestling News. Wrestlers Miranda Alize and Nixon Newell, who previously worked in WWE as Tegan Knox, walked out of Saturday's taping of Collision prior to their scheduled match against Anna Jay and Ty Conti, with Fightful reporting that they were unhappy with their match being booked as a quick squash loss. Maya World and Hyon were tapped to replace Alize and Newell on the fly.
Where do they get these fucking names?
Losing to Conti and Jay in 3 minutes. Following reports of
I have a name you can't even pronounce.
Following reports of the walkout, another incident was reported. Another incident was reported pertaining to Alize and Newell's AEW debut match on the previous episode of Collision against Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir, in which they allegedly were unhappy with being booked in a similar manner and with the lack of selling on the part of Shafir and Bayne, leading to some awkward spots and issues with cooperation during the match.
Jesus Christ, I think one thing is Schaefer's probably the last one you want to be uncooperative with.
In a statement to Fightful, Newell denied that there had been a disagreement during the previous week's show, stating, quote, "No, we had no disagreement. Miranda and I are really the only ones that have the details about how yesterday went." And that's all we have as
well, then what were they?
What are your thoughts on the former Tegan Knox and Miranda Alize walking out for these reasons?
Alize leaves was the headline. Normally it's like the fans used to side with the wrestler, the poor downtrodden wrestler standing up for themselves, walking out on the evil promoter, while most of the time I would sort of see the business side, and in a lot of cases side with, the promoter, the blah, blah, blah. In this case, I think the talent is mostly right, but I don't know what conversations they had with the company leading up to it as to whether, if you were told what you were going to do ahead of time and you still came and did it the first week and you see what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden you're pissed. But having said that, we know that there's probably a lack of communication in AEW. We've heard that song a time or two. But here's the thing. Apparently, these two were not signed to contracts. They were just brought in on a per-night basis. And that's what I've heard reported. They weren't under contract. But somebody said, well, but that's happened with other talents. They'll come in and they'll do jobs and then they'll get a contract. And that's a correct report. That has happened. And it's fucking stupid. Because no promotion in the history of wrestling ever brought a new talent in, put them on TV, beat them numerous times, and then decided to start fucking giving them a push.
Except Tony Khan.
Well, I mean, there's at times where, Eddie Gilbert, Was 17 years old when he turned pro. Of course, he did it a number of jobs, but then you get to be a star type of thing. But I'm talking about bringing in a talent and putting them on television and having them do multiple jobs and then signing them to be full-time and allegedly then going to push them has never happened before Tony Khan, ever, anywhere. So if these two were contacted and said, we want you to come in for the tag team tournament, and naturally that would, I guess one of these was a tournament match, but the other one, I guess, was just a match. They came in, they wrestled Schaefer and Bane in just a regular tag match and did the job. And then we're in the tournament, and they had to pretty much know they weren't going to win that to begin with. But when they get to the taping, they find out they're going to get beaten 3 minutes. Okay, it is stupid business if you're ever going to bring them in that they've just not only done jobs first 2 times you've seen them, but somebody beat them in 3 minutes. So they probably figured, well, they're not going to fucking give us a job because they're thinking logically. Maybe they don't know that Tony does that all the time. But also, if they're not going to get a job, it doesn't do them any good to be on national TV getting beaten 3 minutes to go anywhere else, whether it's TNA or fucking GLEAT, wherever it may be. And that's why that the quality of the job guys, except for a few of the North Carolina mainstays like George South, the quality of the job guys on TBS, the Superstation back in the days, was so bad because no legitimate wrestler wanted to be seen doing jobs every week on national TV. So if they were told, we're going to bring you in, you're going to have these couple of matches, you're going to lose, but they're going to be competitive, then maybe that's why that there was a problem in their mind in the first one with these other two selling, because Megan Brain's a giant and Marina Schaefer's got Dick the Boozer disease and thinks she's the toughest woman in the world and legitimately is the toughest on their roster. Did they not want to sell for these part-time girls, but part-time girls were told to be competitive?
I actually just found some quotes here. I have an article came out a couple of days ago from Post Wrestling by Neil Flanagan. Nixon Newell and Miranda Alize have given their account of the events that led them to leave AEW's Collision taping on Saturday. They spoke on Sunday, following initial reports that the team refused to take a loss. Other reports indicated a dispute over the short amount of time allotted for their match. Speaking on a Twitch stream, Newell, alongside her partner Alize,
sounds like a medical condition,
gave her version of the events. Newell stated that there was no bad blood on either side. Arriving at the Collision taping on Saturday, Newell said they were hanging around, not told anything, until just after the doors opened. They were informed that they had a match against Ty Mello and Anna Jay, and came up with a bunch of ideas. According to Newell, a producer then informed them that the match would last 3 minutes. Newell said their reaction was not anger, but disappointment, as they had been told previously to establish themselves as a credible tag team. Here's a quote. "No one's going to be happy with 3 minutes, but we weren't going there like, what the fuck? It was more like, oh, we were told that, we were going to have a match of substance.
Yeah.
And after the promo that we cut, we were told to make ourselves to be a credible tag team. So let's stop there. I didn't know they cut a promo. Apparently they were told to cut a promo about all this."
Well, and that's a kind of an oddly worded way of saying we were told to get ourselves over, to make ourselves, whatever the case. They're young folks. It sounds like that they were led to believe that they were going to get time, that they were going to be competitive, that they were going to get that if this is a tournament for the women's world tag team title, that it wasn't just going to be they're a job team coming in, but that they're credible from somewhere, and then they'll do the honors, and everybody goes about their merry way. And then again, like I said, they do the job the first weekend, not even tournament. Okay. They don't want to sell for us. We're supposed to, halfway look good. Second week, they're going to beat us in 3 minutes. Let's just fucking go home. That would have been, people can say, well, who are they and what options do they have? And that's true with almost everybody in the wrestling business these days. But in the days of the territories, yeah, if you were of a certain mindset, you would have said, yeah, you know what? Never mind. Just fucking beat some job guy in fucking 3 minutes. I'll go home. That wouldn't have been unheard of. And also, to be quite honest, was anything of value lost in that? Would they have been appreciably better in 3 minutes than whoever these girls were that did the job in 3 fucking minutes?
Well, a few more quotes here, Jim. We called our producer over and we said, hey, I don't think the 3 minutes are going to benefit either of us. Not just us, but everyone in the tag team. And we want what's best for everyone, So respectfully,
I think winning in 3 minutes over 2 girls and practically no effort at all kind of benefits you, but go ahead.
So respectfully, we preferred this to go to someone that it could benefit. They texted us. They said, all good, no problem. You guys are free to go if you like.
They texted us. They're in the same fucking building. What are they saying?
We were given the go-ahead to leave. And that's where the story ends. They left.
Well, I can hear somebody saying, okay, you don't like it. And famous Oli quote, you don't like it, go home. And they did. And I did. But nevertheless, they texted. They're in the fucking building and they're texting people. What is going on here?
They claimed that they then left the venue to go eat because it was tiny and catering was full. Newell concluded by insisting the decision was not an ego thing and noted she is in her last 2 years in wrestling and just wants to have fun.
Because girls, they want to have fun.
Is that the new established thing? If people know that you're going to finish up your career, you get to just have like a period of like, I'm going to do all the fun things I always wanted to do. Like not job on TV in 3 minutes.
It used to be when you were in the last couple of years of your career, then it was because you were fucking old and broken down and nobody wanted you anymore. You were just an old discarded shoe, a used Kleenex on the peep show booth floor of life.
Whether for Smoky Mountain or in WWE, where you were the one bringing in a lot of the guys doing enhancement work, did you ever have anyone get there and refuse? Like, this is not what I want to do?
Well, no, because I told them everybody knew at the start, not specifics like you're going to do a job for X guy, but hey, would you like to come in and do some jobs on my television? And they knew they weren't going to, if we did 4 TV shows, they weren't going to have to work more than twice. Might do a little run in if we're doing a pull apart. I would pay them. They would get some time to look competitive or credible, depending on their ability to look competitive and credible. Because we didn't just have it wasn't all just, the fucking job guy that we put in with the Moondogs. We had Rip Rogers was a guy that was doing jobs on some of our early televisions. We had talented people. Hector Guerrero was lost more than he won on television, but we had quality guys doing that type of thing. And everybody knew, what their spot was ahead of time. And I can't remember any of the guys that didn't want to put somebody over on television.
If it had happened, what would the reaction have been from you, let alone if it was WWE, anyone above you?
Well, it depends on who it was. If it was just one of the job guys just got a wild hair up his ass and said, I don't want to put the dirty white boy over it. Okay, fuck off then. We'll get somebody else to do it. Hey, Joey Maggs, come here, whatever. If it was a top guy.
Oh, it did happen to you when Shane Douglas refused a job to you.
Well, I thought you meant in Smoky Mountain. That's what I was trying to.
I'm just thinking in general of wrestlers, yeah.
Oh, well, no, he did it and then took it back. It never he did it, but then it never aired. But no, if I had been Smoky Mountain or whatever, dealing with top names coming in, and somebody said I didn't want to do a job, well, then we would work something out because they would have a legitimate point of view that I had to take seriously. And with the Steiners, when originally we had booked them to come in and work the rematch off SummerSlam 93 with the Bodies. But at the time they had the tag team titles, so they were going to be WWF World Tag Team title matches. But that's when we were at a TV. Well, the SummerSlam was the end of August, and they came in like the second week of October. So right before we were going to promote this thing, we may have actually got the early word out. Nevertheless, Pat Patterson comes to me at TV for the WWF and says, well, I know you got the Steiners booked, but we're taking the belts off of them. We're going to put them on, was it Jacques and Pierre? Whoever the fuck it was. Anyway, God damn it. He said, I wanted to tell you still got the Steiners, but they won't have the belts. So we just made it return matches, and people came to see the Steiners in person anyway. But I knew we weren't going to switch the belts. So I'd planned DQs, all along. But when they didn't have the belts, I thought if I could get them to do one job for the Bodies, and then because we had them 4 nights. So I thought DQ them, DQ us, we go over, they go over, we split it up even, which they would have done, except this was when they were on the outs with the WWF. That's why one of the reasons why that they were having them drop the belts, and they were going to leave soon after, and they were trying to protect Japan and blah, 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 and didn't want to do any jobs for anybody. So we did the DQ with Arnold coming in and biting the Bodies on the boots.
But Tegan Knox and her partner are no Steiners.
No, they're not. And they don't even have a dog as talented as Arnold.
All right. Well,
it's been a long time since there was a good trained dog in the wrestling business, either in the ring or back at the hotel after the matches.
All right. Well, Jim, I don't know where to go from there. Why don't we tell everyone about a great meal that they can have, chef prepared, no extra work on your part, easy and delicious. The last batch of stuff sent here by Factor was the most delicious they've ever sent. I'm a big fan. Let's talk about Factor.
Well, as a matter of fact, you said that you were gaining weight on this diet because you went on 2 diets. You weren't getting enough to eat on one. But folks, I'll tell you what, if life has just got you down, if it's just the schedule, the hecticness, the back to school, the busier routine, the shorter days, the days are winding down now. Soon they'll be only 3 hours long, and then there'll be no daylight, and we'll have to move underground. And you got to start stocking up now. Factor has dietitian-approved chef prepped. A chef prepares them, hence the prepping. And they make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping they've got Thanksgiving turkey dressing and cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving. I haven't seen that yet, but maybe just a big turkey leg they could send in a box. Just put in a plastic bag, tape it up, send it in a box.
That's the way they conduct themselves. They send, again, chef-prepared meals. They look good. They taste delicious. I don't think it would just be anything as mundane as that.
Well, there's more variety and more meals. You can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. GLP-1 friendly meals. GLP-2 is still a little cranky. And the new Mediterranean diet options are packed with protein and good for you fats. Some of these fats that the Mediterranean people use and have in their diet, they're actually good for you. They help you to live longer. That's why you see all these 85, 90-year-old Greek guys taking all this olive oil and smearing it all over these naked women they make statues out of. And they carve them right between the butt crack there.
Where do you see this? That's why you
see this all over Greece. That's why it's called Greek. Savor global flavors for the first time. Try Asian-inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and the preachings of Chairman Mao. It's right there on the thing. You pop it in the microwave and boom, you're good. And it's Buddhist friendly.
Yes, right.
From more choices
friendly
to better
nutrition. Let's just stress, friendly to all, nothing to do with Chairman Mao.
Well, but it's especially Buddhist friendly because they have certain requirements. They got to have their rabbi come in and bless the fat guy, and then that takes a whole time.
I don't know if that's how that happens, but
it's the big fat guy. He's blessed. Every roll of fat has to be blessed by a qualified rabbi, or otherwise the pig is slaughtered in a completely different location.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. No rolls of fat involved in this delicious food sent right to you while it's fresh, prepared by chef. Great salmon, great chicken, and so much more. Jim,
97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. 97% of the customers. So what's the odds that you're going to be one of the 3% that just shriveled up and blew away? Folks, feel the difference no matter your routine. Right now, go to Factor, I say factormeals.com/JCE50 off and use the code JCE50 off. You're going to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. 50, I say. Not 350, but 50. 50% off your first box and free breakfast for 1 year at factormeals.com/JCE50 off. The code is JCE50 off because that's how much you're going to get. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Asterisk, offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. But that's just fine print, and you just slather some gravy on that and just dig right in, and it's going to taste good.
Factor!
Factor!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the post-Factor portion of the show. Jim, an annual tradition it's become here on the show. The review of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Women's 250, ranking the sport's most elite performers. The 250.
Brian, I'm just telling you, to preserve our relationship, if you call the names of 250 women wrestlers to me, I will never speak to you again.
Well, I don't think it'll be that many, but obviously there's a lot of information here to digest. The criteria: in-ring achievement, influence, technical ability, competition, and finally, activity. Thankful to say Brian Solomon's not on the committee for this, so I don't have to feel too bad about anything I say. Jim, number one, last year, not listed, Mercedes Moné. Number one. Her side hustle is Monet Mag, digital fan magazine.
Do you think, I was about to say, they made her number one because she agreed to buy 1,000 of these magazines to sell like Monet Mag if they put her on the cover and made her number one. Since everybody else is giving her belts, they could give her the cover.
A brilliant cross-promotion if I've ever heard of one. The top 5 moments during the evaluation period. Number one, of course, Jim, she pins Zeusis to win the CMLL Women's World Championship during AEW Dynamite Grand Slam Mexico in Mexico City on June 18th. Number two, she employed her Monet Maker finisher to beat Mina Shirakawa and capture the Rev Pro British Women's Championship at Wrestle Dynasty in Tokyo, Japan on January 5th. And then it's just more and more titles that she won. I guess I get your thoughts on number one, Mercedes.
Well,
Moné.
I mean, we said the same thing with the guys. They have to go back and forth between the two major companies because those are the people that will sell the most magazines because those are the people that most people see. And then they sprinkle in the top 10 some of the international or independent girls because the fan base that follows those type of folks is more predisposed to buy the magazines these days, since the print run for everything related to reading is down, except for Heroes and Friends. But it's ridiculous to even contemplate that Mercedes Moné would be the biggest women's wrestler in the world or even the United States or whatever when she works for AEW. We've established the WWE has at least a half a dozen major female wrestling stars that would outrank her. Secondly, is she the best in AEW? Toni Storm can wrestle. The gimmick has just gotten out of hand and gone completely over the fucking top. But what big match has Mercedes had that drew money that you couldn't wait to see, that any appreciable number of people gave a shit about besides the people that think it's a big deal that she's won 12 Outlaw women's belts? I mean, AJ Lee generated more business in one appearance than Mercedes did for AEW all year. So,
and by the way, on that topic, the evaluation period is October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2025. And Mercedes Moné, 15 years pro.
Good Lord.
At number 2, 16 years pro. Last year's number 1, Timeless Toni Storm, who made her feature film debut as Clara Mortensen in 2024's Queen of the Ring.
Now they're just saying, okay, we'll just give it to all the AEW girls because the WWF has its own magazine and those fans aren't buying our shit anymore anyway. I mean, what else? Where is Becky Lynch? Where is Rhea Ripley? Where is Bianca Belair? Where are any of the actual top female wrestlers in the business on this list so far?
Well, I'm sure we will get there. Jim, at number 3, last year's number 89.
What?
Only 6 years pro. Of course, I'm talking about Saya Kamatani.
What?
Affiliated with the group Hate.
What?
This year, her highlights included defeating Tom Nakano to win the World of Stardom Championship at Stardom Dream Queendom in Ryoku,
Hey, Christ,
Japan.
can you pass me a cracker?
She was also part of the Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom, and she used her Star Crusher finisher at Stardom's 14th Anniversary Supreme Fight in Tokyo, and she also wrestled for Pro Wrestling Wave. So, I'm guessing you don't know too much.
We haven't even got to Tiffany Storm yet, for Christ's sake, and already they're into the outlaw Japanese girls.
I'm not sure who Tiffany Storm is, but let's go to number 4 here, Jim.
What's her name?
Tiffany Stratton, number 4 here on the
Tiffany Stratton.
list.
Well, I was close.
She's 4 years pro. She was 32 last year, number 32, I should say, and she was trained by Greg Gagne.
What? What?
That's what it says here. Trained by Greg.
Who?
This is also, though, the same magazine that says Jim Cornette was discovered by Bill Apter at one point, so you never know what you could trust.
I was discovered by my parents when they were presented the bill for me at the hospital.
All right, well, that was your thoughts on number 4.
Who is that? No, who is this? You didn't tell me who it was yet.
Tiffany Stratton.
Oh, that was Tiffany Stratton. Well, I think she should change her name to Tiffany Storm.
Well, I think it's too late for that now. Jim, number 5, 16 years pro, last year number 6, from San Fernando, Chile, Stephanie Vaquer.
Now the WWE girls get to start coming in. But again, well, I guess Becky Lynch, a bigger star, Bianca Belair, a bigger star, but the indie darlings and or the internet community's favorites, and I'm not saying Stephanie Vaquer, you say tomato. I'm not saying she's not good, but as far as in relation to where she stands in the wrestling community right now, but they're appealing more to the people that they think are going to buy this magazine than the general population.
Well, to be fair also, if we're talking about this evaluation period, Becky Lynch, like you said, star, Bianca Belair, star, but during this period of time, who got the best push? I think it's clearly Stephanie Vaquer. Not to say she's a bigger star than them, but she's been pushed better than them.
True. So you got something there, but I don't know about number 3. I'm not even going to try that name.
All right, well, we go to number 6, Jim. Number 6, Io Sky. 18 years pro, last year's number 13. She is the genius of the sky.
She's the greatest wrestler in the world. Frank Gotch, Strangler Lewis, and Joe Stecker turn over in their graves that they could never hold a candle to Io Sky. She could have put a ham sandwich on their back and starved them to death.
Jim, number 7, the longest reigning champion in Ring of Honor history. 18 years pro, last year's number 10. Of course, Athena.
When's the last time we saw her? Oh, she came out. She's back now she's the stooge for
number 1.
Oh, Mercedes.
Number 1 on the list, Mercedes Moné. Jim at number 8, 14 years pro, last year's number 7. And of course, she's promoting wrestling events under the Saree-ism banner. Saree, number 8.
Sorry, Saree.
The Sun God.
That would be Goddess, wouldn't it?
Well, that's what I'm just going based on what they wrote here. That's the official record, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Number 9, Jim. 16 years pro, last year's number 30. Proceed with caution. Naomi.
We forgot about Naomi. I think Naomi could kick the shit out of most of the girls on this list so far, but not right now because she's growing a parasite.
There is something funny. First of all, don't call it. That's disgusting, and it's going to be a wonderful moment for this family. But it is funny about the fact that her phrase and the words that were all over her outfit were proceed with caution, and then
she took absolutely no precautions whatsoever.
Jim, number 10 on the list.
Wonder if that tape was made out of lambskin or not nylon, but
nylon.
Latex.
Yeah, I don't know about those nylon ones.
Maybe if it was nylon,
those special catalogs you guys get.
Probably why it didn't work if it was nylon.
Jim, at number 10, 12 years pro. Last year's number 3, Rhea Ripley.
Oh, a number, what'd you say, 12?
10.
Where
12
number
years
10.
pro.
Oh, at least she made the top 10. Good God.
All right, her first arm tattoo was XXXVIII on her wrist, signifying the date of WWE's first all-women's pay-per-view event, Evolution. So it's their fault.
Yeah, I didn't need to know that.
Well, let's go through the rest of this list a little bit, Jim. Number 11, Jacy Jayne. Jacy Jayne.
Yeah, Jacy Jayne.
Followed by number 12, Liv Morgan.
And we forgot about Liv, regardless of what you have to say, and I have about her size or lack thereof. She was a major fucking star. I guess she's injured now, but she's not placing higher than Athena.
At number 13, Nia Jax.
Oh, good Lord. Shouldn't she be 13 and 14?
Well, no, number 14 is Starlight Kid, of course, affiliated with Neo Genesis.
I've seen the Starlight Kid's name before. I thought it was a guy.
Starlight, so did I, actually. 24th Wonder of Stardom champion after defeating Natsupoi at Dream Queendom. All right, that was number 14. Number 15, Lyra Valkyria. Followed by 16, Chris Statlander, and 17, Jordan Grace.
Poor old Statlander there was something there a long time ago, like everybody in AEW, if it had been brought out. But, and Jordan Grace, I still haven't seen her wrestle, have I?
Royal Rumble.
But I have seen her box.
Stop that. Number 18, Jim, Mayu Iwatani.
Of course it is.
Followed by number 19 with Mizuki. At number 20, it's Blake Monroe, the Glamour.
Right there. Well, again, right there. How many millions more people at least know who she is than any of these other folks on this list?
Well, number 21 is Julia. Of course, she's on WWE TV. Followed by 22, Roxanne Perez. She as well. 23, Saul Rucka. And then 24, Momo Watatambe. Any thoughts on any of those?
I think she should team up with Sam Giancana.
Her signature move, Peach Sunrise. That got me. Number 25, Nina Samuels.
Nina Samuels.
The highest ranked UK.
Didn't she sing 99 Left Balloons?
No, that was Nana.
Oh.
Nana. At number 26, almost Nana, Mina Shirakawa.
Almost Nina. She's my Mina. Those old mountains on her sternum.
All right, Jim, number 27, Willow Nightingale. Followed by 28, Chelsea Green, and 29, Charlotte Flair.
Oh, good Lord. They've just written old Charlotte off, haven't they, these days?
Right behind Charlotte, of course, we have Zeusis at 30, followed by, I always get it wrong, AZM. Azam? Someone said you're supposed to pronounce it some sort of way. I'm like, it looks like AZM.
I thought it was ass to mouth.
That's not what that is, but she, again, we apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
But she's open?
That's 31, 32, Alex Windsor.
There's a chance, is what you're saying.
Should Alex Windsor change her name to Alex Mountbatten Windsor? That's number 32. 33.
Alex, that's her name from now on. Alex Mountbatten Windsor.
Number 33.
We've got to be precise here.
We have Megan Bain at 33, followed by 34, an old classic, Riho.
Oh.
At 35, Kenzie Page, followed by 36, Takumi Iroha. One of those. She's followed number 37 by Utami Hayashishita. Her signature move is the Torture Rack Bomb. Followed by 38, Zelina Vega, not an S, Zelina Vega. And 39, we have Sayuri. Followed by 40,
But I thought we had Suri. I thought we had Suri. Sorry, Suri.
No, we had Sari, Saree. This is Syuri.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Followed by Kaylani Jordan at 40. Jim, maybe this will get you going. I mean, there's a lot of young talent here. 41, Fallon Henley. 42, Mayu Watanabe.
Wait a minute, you just said Mayu Watanabe.
That was Momo. This is my MIU. Followed by Jody Threat at 43, followed by 44, Natsupoi.
He's Natsupoi.
45, Danny Luna.
Let's go back to the Threat girl. I'm fixing to issue a couple.
46 is Tekla, followed by 47, Queen Aminata. 48, Lola Vice. 49, Flamer.
Wait,
from AAA.
Is he on the wrong list?
It's a woman, apparently, in AAA. Won Mas Luchas Torneo Suprema.
What?
That's what it says here. At number 50, we have Kristara, followed by Persephone, used to be known as Persephone, at 51.
No, it was we said Persephone, but it was really Persephone, right?
I don't know. And number 52, we have Red Velvet, followed by Jade Cargill, 4 years pro.
Jade Cargill all the way down there. She's the new decisive women's champion over there, and she's down in the mid-40s or whatever.
Followed by Jamie Hayter, followed by Suzumi, followed by Bianca Belair, Jada Stone, Vert Vixen.
Bianca Belair and Jada Stone duking it out for number 96.
At 58, we had Vert Vixen, followed by 59, Miku Ano. Miko Ano, followed by 60, Natalia Markova. Jim, any of these names ringing a bell?
I think some of these you're having a stroke over. Miko, Mano, and Mucho.
What about Shoko Nakajima?
When Vert Vixen sounds like the most legitimate name, you know that you're in trouble.
All right, let me see if there's any other names that stick out. I'm going to scroll down. Johnny Robbie.
Any names that you can pronounce?
Johnny Robbie, Giselle Shaw, Lash Legend, Natalia, Alice Inc. We just saw that name recently. Delmi Exo, Bozilla, Nightshade. Who the fuck is that? Nightshade at number 81, Jim, followed by La Catalina.
How about just a variety of poisons? Let's just list them all.
Indy Hartwell, Tessa Blanchard, Thunder Rosa, Billy Starks, Deanna Perrazzo, Hanan, Alexa Bliss. Yeah, it's just a whole bunch of names here. Jim,
at least I've heard of a few of those, but the magazine buying public is being grossly misled, apparently. Let's
go the other way. Let's start at 250 and see the first name you recognize going backwards. At number 250, Manami. 249, Journey Burke. 248, Madison Marley. 247, Alexis Lee. At 246, Heather Monroe.
Are we doing NXT or Porn Star again at that game, or is this just girl wrestlers' names?
At 245, Alexis Littlefoot.
Boy, I'll tell you what, at least she owns that disability. And she's not scared of it. She's not embarrassed by it. She walks out there, she's got the smallest foot in the known fucking world, and she's going to let everybody see it.
Followed by Izzy Moreno at 244. Izzy? Followed by Nikki Blackheart at 243. Here's a name I know, Layla Gray, 242. So there it is.
Yeah, we've heard that name.
Followed by Maki Ito. Maki Ito making the list. Well, this is the top 250. We apologize to the 100 or so people whose names we didn't read and ridicule here on the air, but there it is. Any thoughts on the state of women's wrestling?
Yeah, it's about as sad as everything else. The state of everything is pretty much sad.
All right, well, let's do another follow-up here real quick, Jim. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is in the news. I have a headline here from the New York Post. Let me pause this video of theirs that plays automatically. That's really annoying. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Fergie being probed.
And wait a minute. It's like the Flying Burrito Brothers and Naomi. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Fergie.
Well, and I added the end, to be honest with you. It was a comma, and I just didn't think it would work as well. So Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, Fergie, being probed and could face jail time.
Fergie's being probed? Why didn't I get that position?
Be forced out of UK. And then there's a quote, and this is in the headline still. There's a quote, he's toast. Let's go to this article here.
So now they're going to run them out of the country? How are they going to be able to live at the Frog's Castle or the Frog's Cottage or whatever it is?
No, I think they kicked him out of there. You can't use Frogmore Cottage.
He's been kicked out of the Frog's Cottage. I bet he leapt at that chance.
Let's go to this article here by Angela Barbuti. If that is indeed her real name.
She used to be married to a sheik. Sheik your booty.
Tea is spilling, and these disgraced Brits will have a hard time cleaning it up. Former Duke of York Prince Andrew is under investigation by London police and may face jail time, while his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson is also being probed for unscrupulous use of charity money.
Whoa!
And they both could be forced out of the UK, according to a new report.
You know, that's disheartening for me to hear about Fergie, because I was up for a good sex scandal she was involved in, and she's stealing from charity.
Your memory's going. Last time you saw what she looks like now, and you reverse course on.
Well, I know, but I thought maybe this was in the 80s. We'd see some pictures. She was wank-worthy.
Here's a quote from historian Andrew Lowney, author of Entitled, The Rise and Fall of the House of York. Andrew is going to be charged with various public offenses and misconduct in public office. He'll probably go to jail. The case against him is pretty clear. He's toast.
Well, what did he do that's legally actionable? What's he going to get sent to jail for?
Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip's third child, now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, quote, won't go down for sex trafficking. It will be for financial impropriety, Lowney told the outfit.
So he stole the money that he used to pay the 40 hookers.
Oh, maybe a lot more than that. He was the trade envoy for the UK from 2001 to 2011 and would rub elbows with questionable characters in countries such as Libya, Kazakhstan, and Laos. Forgoing embassies to stay at 5-star hotels and rack up high bills.
Well, you can't have 40 hookers come over to the goddamn embassy. You need to be at the Waldorf. The embassy's swing rooms are just horribly antiquated.
In terms of Fergie, the 66-year-old Ferguson, who Andrew divorced in 1996, and they still live together, folks, is also
it takes time to transition to the next phase of your life.
Is also being investigated for using proceeds from a book deal, or book deals, and endorsements for her own gain, instead of the charity that they were supposed to be intended for. The quote, she's basically been using charities to make money. So she's going to be in trouble there. Lowney continued. The former power couple will most likely need to move out of England, Lowney predicted. Here's a quote to wrap this up. Andrew will end up in the UAE like Juan Carlos, Spain's former king. And as for Fergie, she will likely go live in Portugal and Switzerland while maintaining a small presence in London with help from friends.
I was hoping to hear like they're going to move them to Evanston, Illinois, and they're going to get a job at a sandwich shop.
What are your thoughts on the continual decline of the former House of York?
Well, they're only declining publicly. They keep going to maintain other residences in other places. I want to see this son of a bitch like walking the street carrying a fucking postal bag, delivering mail, doing some menial occupation while Fergie looks more like Ann Mira, stirring the goddamn pots and pans around in the kitchen, wearing a frumpy house dress. That's the kind of program they need to have on the TV these days.
It doesn't seem like he has much of a future. I'm still going to go with my idea from last time. He should move to one of these countries and announce that he's the King of England.
The House of York has not been the same since they took Dick off of Bewitched.
What about the House of Sargent?
He did an okay job, but I don't know that I would put him in the pantheon of royalty. Certainly not the biggest dick I've ever seen.
When I was a kid, one of the other ladies in PTA with my mom, her grandfather was Sergeant York.
So he was neither Dick York nor Dick Sargent. He was a combination of both.
He was the famous one before either of them, but any other thoughts on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor?
Well, I have some research from one of the Cult of Cornette members, the people out there, Christopher from North Babylon, New York, Chris, who said that we were confused about the name. And he said, I figured you might appreciate this info about the royal family's nomenclature system, since it has somehow become a topic on the show now that Andrew's name changed from regal to legal. Sounds like a beagle. The British royal family changed their name to Windsor back in 1917. This is not even their real name. They changed their name because their actual name, their government name, Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, Gotha, sounded too German during World War I. And that was not the vibe at the time. They picked Windsor because it was the name of a castle and it just sounds royally British. It was all better for PR while they were fighting the Germans. Mountbatten comes from Andrew's father, Prince Philip's side of the family, and it's actually the English version of the German Battenberg. They switched it up because, again, German names weren't exactly in fashion back then. So they're just living under fake names to stay ahead of the goddamn bad publicity of being German during World War I.
You know, it's amazing the way they've been able to adapt with the times, like a David Bowie or a Chris Jericho. I mean, here they are. They own the oldest promotion in the world. Like CMLL, they own their buildings. You know, it's really remarkable.
Do you think Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is going to become Ziggy Stardust?
See, they should have taken the name Windsor away from him then, if that's the case, what you just read, and given him the old German name.
Yeah.
Sackbag or whatever you said the fucking name was.
Sackbag, yes. Andrew Mountbatten Sackbag.
It's Fergie Sackbag walking by.
Yeah, it's Mr. Sackbag to you. So Andrew Sackbag is in more trouble. He might go to jail. She might get deported to Luxembourg or wherever the case. We'll keep up on this story. It's evolving. It's ever fluid.
That's right. I know we've broken a lot of news when it comes to the crown and everything happening, and we'll stay on top of this because we know the British listeners love us paying such close attention to the fringes of their news. So we pledge to continue this.
They apparently don't like these sumbitches over there too much either.
Jim, before we wrap things up, let's get some questions from the listeners because a whole bunch have been sent in. Let me make some noise as I move them over here. It's over here now. Jim, this question was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Joe Shea. I was watching Clash of Champions 3 and was blown away by the Brad Armstrong-Mike Rotunda opening match. It made me think of a question for the Cult and possibly for Jim on the Drive-Thru. What was the greatest opening match in wrestling history?
Oh my God. That is a question, Brian, that has never been asked before. That I can remember. Can you remember it? Can anybody remember asking that question? It would have to be in modern times, wouldn't it? Because since they started the modern thing of starting the big pay-per-views with a world title match or a main event or something, which was not done back in those days, or is by the strict wording of his question, a real opening match like Brad Armstrong and Mike Rotunda that was scheduled that way on the card just because those guys weren't particularly being featured at that point. And
again, it was a Clash of Champions.
There's been so many. Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that was not either any of the main events or feature matches that were advertised for the Clash of Champions. So even though it was on a big television show, it was still a preliminary because we used to, back in those days, build the Clash of Champions like a house show card. Preliminaries, special feature match, main event, title match, whatever. So there have been opening matches in recent years that have been for the WWF Championship or whatever. But strictly speaking, that was advertised as one of the main events. They just put it on first. It wasn't the actual opening match. But it was. Do you see what I'm saying
I
here to
do.
you?
What started Starrcade 88? Was it? It wasn't Midnight versus Midnight. Was it Rotunda versus Steiner? They had a hot opening for that pay-per-view, at least the VHS version.
I can't remember, to be quite honest with you.
What about Brett versus Owen, WrestleMania 10, the Garden?
Well, there you go. That's an example of it wasn't really the opening match, but it was the match that went on first. But it was an advertised featured event that could have been in the place of one of the main events had you went, but Brett had to work twice that night also.
You know, for AEW, there was a pay-per-view. I thought the best match was MJF versus Darby Allin. It started the show, but I don't know if technically that was the first match, right? Because if you do a pre-show, like where do you begin what the first match is?
The fourth match or the first match or whatever the case. Yeah, I get the idea of the question he was trying to ask, but it's actually not as simple as that. And there have been all kinds of wonderful matches that went on first, but they would be lost to history because nobody cared because they went on first.
You know, it is interesting as you say all this. We are kind of in a time where, hadn't stopped and thought about it, there are no more preliminary matches on any of these shows. It's just right to a hot match. How many shows begin? I mean, we're not thinking of anything off the top of our head. They put one of the hottest matches out there to start the show and get people going. It was never like that.
No, I guess the closest modern day equivalent would be the UFC, where they have, it seems like when you read the results, umpty million fights, but the underneath fights are amongst guys who are not exactly household names that are in the prelims on the undercard. And that's what wrestling used to be also. And if you bought a ticket to go see a house show anywhere in the country, in any territory, they would have not only announced the matches that were going to be at the house show that night on the television show, but they would have announced them probably in order. And they would come off that way. Every live event I ever saw in the Louisville Gardens, there had been an ad with the lineup in the Sunday paper, and Lance had read the lineup on the Saturday TV. And every once in a while, they might change the order, but in a lot of cases, it was the same fucking order as it was advertised, from bottom to top, opening prelim to main event. And now shit just goes on wherever the fuck.
Jim, our next question, sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group, was sent by Rob Blackbear. November is Native American Heritage Month, so I was wondering, who is the most popular Native American wrestler in history? And were they actually Native American? Love the show.
Wahoo would be up on that list, and he was. In the 50s, Don Eagle was one of the biggest baby faces in the business and was a money-drawing name, 40s into the 50s. I'm not sure. Was he, Brian? If you even know, Chief Bigheart was another in the Northeast that was from Ohio through the Vince Senior territory. Chief Bigheart was a huge baby face. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Don Eagle was a big star and a big draw. Boston, Chicago, had a national reputation, had merch early on, was on magazine covers, had a gimmick and a look when a lot of people didn't. Not to say that him being Native American was a gimmick, but he certainly amplified it.
Yes.
Before the crowd, he had his dad as his manager. So he was a pretty big star. In modern times, I mean, you said Wahoo. Chief Jay Strongbow's not really Native American, so you can't really count him.
Right. He was Italian. Now, in Indianapolis and Bruiser's territory, Billy Red Cloud got over to the point where they put the belt on him at one time, and he had the full Indian regalia and etc. And he was tremendously over as a babyface. But then, I don't know about Billy Red Cloud, but when they teamed him up with Chief Bobby Bold Eagle, who had the entire 6-foot Indian headdress on that he would wear to the ring, and it went all the way down to his feet. He was Italian, Bob Boyer. But he was also the junior member of that combination, and Red Cloud was a bigger draw. Again, I'm trying to think of...
But here's another interesting way to look at it. You know, Wahoo, Don Eagle, even Jay Strongbow, Tatanka, they all ended up really getting into the gimmick. They had the full headdress, they had the feathers, they had a lot of different things, sometimes face paint.
Right.
Other than the Briscoes, were there Native American wrestlers that didn't really exploit it like that?
Yeah, because the Briscoes are part Native American, at least. I'm not sure what heritage, etc., but they both are, but they never really... Because it was a whole different thing with them. Jack came in as the NCAA heavyweight champion, and Jerry was a high-level amateur, so they didn't really need a gimmick. For them would have been a hat on a hat. That's why they never had one. But I'm trying to think of, like you said, anybody who didn't exploit it, but particularly the most popular, the most over, the biggest box office attractions for Native Americans were the guys that we mentioned. And it was, probably about maybe half and half as to whether they were or not legitimately Native American in some way.
It's crazy with Chief Jay Strongbow. He got that gimmick. It was almost as if he was at the end of his career. He was already 40 years old.
Yeah.
And he got that gimmick, and it gave him the biggest run of his career.
And nobody was scrambling to book him at that point, but because Vince Sr. wanted an Indian, he got, 15 more years almost in the ring, and then an agent's job forever out of it.
So in terms of the biggest ever on the national stage, again, Tatanka was big on the national stage, but I think Wahoo was significantly more popular. Chief Jay Strongbow was a Northeast thing, that's it.
Yeah, but Don Eagle was bigger than all of them, but it was a time of network television and where it was a different business.
I think Don Eagle was also the only one double-crossed out of all of them, but that is that question.
And boy, pitched an odd-looking fit about it, too. It was like he was working that he was mad about getting legitimately double-crossed.
Like Wendy Richter when Moolah double-crossed her.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Whatever the hell happened there.
Nobody ever just draws back and punches the other guy in the fucking face.
This question was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group, Jim, by Derek Arender.
Hey, Derek!
If Triple H and Tony Khan swap places, and they had to book the other person's shows...
Stephanie would be upset.
And they had to book the other person's shows, who does Jim think would have the better show? The only thing changing is just those two. Just drop Tony into WWE and Triple H into AEW, nothing else changing.
Well, I mean, for all the times that we may have recently maligned Triple H for his booking, it's boring and there's nothing happening. My God, that's kind of easy. AEW would improve because Triple H would bring some kind of structure, have some pattern for making shit make sense, reposition the talent, rejuggle, reshuffle the deck, whatever, put on matches that have a purpose to lead to something that would get focused individuals over. Whereas Tony would come in and go, oh my God, now I got 300 guys to play with, and just book the same way that he does now, and it would be a mess. So that's not really difficult.
All right, well, that was that question.
Some structure, even boring structure, would be better than just chaos with no meaning.
Our next question, Jim, was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Ed Whipkey. In the Brian Pillman book, Brian thought that The Undertaker was a wannabe tough guy and had no respect for him. What are Jim's thoughts on this?
Do you remember him saying exactly that? I read the Pillman book. It's been a while.
It's been a while, too, so I don't want to say it wasn't in there, but...
I don't know whether he thought I want to be tough guy, because Taker, whether anybody's happy with him now because he's henpecked on his podcast, Taker's a tough guy. But so was Brian Pillman. And I can see that maybe Brian thought, and maybe with validity, because a lot of guys, when they first saw Brian, they didn't think much because he was short and he wasn't, that not only that big, even though he had a great build to him, but also the hair, the fluffy hair, and the whole thing when he was younger and he was flying Brian. Then they had to realize just who he was and what they were dealing with. And once they did that, then he got a certain amount of respect. But I don't know if I would. Brian's relationships with most of the guys in the WWF at that point probably wouldn't have been the best that they could have been if he was coming in as the old Brian who hadn't been injured, wasn't trying to hide shit, wasn't paranoid about stuff, wasn't having personal issues. Because I think that, his talent would have spoken louder than all the craziness going on around him.
But you don't remember any specific issues. And again, they worked together in WCW in 1990, but nothing.
Well, and that might have been part of it, because I remember when Brian first came in, he had this fucking hair dryer with do you remember in the 90s, the big diffuser where it would diffuse the hair over a wide area for the people with the fluffy hairdos?
Yes, I do.
He had one of those. And the other guys just fixated on that. And Brian came in one night after a fucking match and somebody had broke it, stomped on it or whatever. And he didn't put it over. But this was before that they all really knew his story and how he'd walked on with the Bengals and was fucking badass and probably could kick many of their asses. Or there may have just been lingering personal shit from 7 years before.
What are your thoughts on the idea that so many people, again, right or wrong, for whatever reason, it seems like a lot of people, we're seeing the feedback, are like out for The Undertaker?
Well, it's because...
Do you think they should call Leslie Nielsen to come in?
No. I think they need to leave that alone. All those years, The Undertaker was a cool gimmick, and you didn't hear the real guy talk. And The Undertaker was just, the mythical guy that had the great matches and came back at WrestleMania and defied the Father Time and had the streak. And before that, it was how he was the locker room leader and the voice of reason. But now that they hear Mark Calloway, he's not really a great stand-up comedian, motivational speaker. He's very Trumpy. It's the best thing I can say about that. And he's let his wife join his podcast where he looks like that fucking guy that's Kelly Ripa's husband now.
Oh, God. Oh.
So, that's not The Undertaker. They didn't want to know the person. They didn't want The Undertaker to be a person. And now he's annoying them.
All right, well, thank you for your question, Jim.
And I'll be the first one to say of anybody that should keep politics out of anything, The Undertaker should not be political.
It should be a universally loved gimmick. The most loved dead man since Casper.
Yeah, because death and taxes waits for no man, like the tide, as they say.
Jim, our next question was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Marcus Durbin. Is there any year...
I thought you were going to say Marcus Dirtbag.
Or Marcus Dupree. Is there any year from any promotion that Jim thinks was perfectly booked? From promos to storylines to in-ring work, does Jim have a particularly favorite year or time period, either as a fan, participant, or booker himself? But let's go with the idea 1 year, a calendar year, perfectly booked.
Well, there's never been. You can't run a wrestling territory with a weekly television show and shows every night of the week, and you wrestlers coming and wrestlers going, and do everything perfectly. It's not possible. Best booked. Well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
So what do you think when you hear fans like me, who you've been hearing from for a long time about this, who think, like, for instance, Mid-South 84 is as close to perfect as you can get? It never lags, always new people being introduced, hot angles, good action, excellent promos, very few misses. Masao Ito leaves early on. But like when you hear that about 84 Mid-South, do you agree? Do you think that's too much?
Yeah, no, because as close to perfect as possible is different from perfect. And so many territories had that. And down through the years, you could go back and you could say that Roy Shire in 1962 was the best booker in the business because he made San Francisco the biggest drawing city in the country. You can say as a fan, for me in Memphis, 1974 was a great year because it was the ascension of Lawler, the feud with Lawler and Fargo, the multiple sellouts as Lawler went for the world title and Jack Briscoe. There was also Drek involved that year, but it was great at the gates because everybody got over. The TVs were still fairly boring because studio wrestling on TV back then was not meant to be Mid-South TV of 1984. Watts had taken that concept and updated everything by then. Mid-South 84 was great to work in, as was Crockett 86, although there were still stinkers in that year. But you remember that the AWA had a 1983 that was through the fucking roof. But at the same time, everything wasn't, there were always different years, different periods in the different territories where the talent and the booking and maybe a new TV show or a new station, everything clicked together and business was, great and everything was wonderful. But it can't ever be perfect, but there's so many countless, well, this was the best year of such and such that, you can't really call one to mind. As a performer, 84 Mid-South or 86 Crockett, as a fan, I liked Memphis in either 74 or 81 was tremendous with the talent and Lawler's return from the broken leg and the Jarrett inventing the dream matches and all the other shit. That was fucking tremendous. And as a booker myself, probably 2004 OVW before they started fucking with me too bad and I burnt myself out mad at them. Or 1993 Smoky Mountain where I got everybody in that I wanted and I was just able to do the first things with them without it getting old and didn't have the quality of talent to replace them.
So summer in 93, or are you talking about like...
Well, they said 1 year, so...
Oh, you're talking about all of 93. Okay, yeah.
All of 93, because the spot shows in early 93 were doing 900 people in some little town in Virginia. The first wave of spot shows, those people hadn't seen big name wrestling in a few years. So we were doing sometimes bigger crowds on a spot show in Virginia than we do at the Knoxville Coliseum.
And while not a perfect year, where are you at with in terms of fans who love 89 NWA? Do you get it? Do you think that we're crazy? Do you think that we're overlooking a lot of bad shit? What do you think?
I get it because the part of 1989 that was good on screen outweighs the part of 89 that was bad on screen, and most people didn't live through all of the various regime changes, so they just remember it. 89 with Flair and Steamboat, Flair and Funk, Funk and Steamboat, Luger and Steamboat, Luger and Flair, all those great matches, most of them took place during the time period when Flair was booking. But some of them did. Steamboat had come in. That's the one good thing that George Scott actually did, was get Steamboat in. So even though it was a disaster at the gate, and I'm talking the year, not that much, just 1989 was a disaster at the gates for WCW and a disaster for talent relations because a bunch of people came in that didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground, but the talent overperformed. So that's why the fans look back on it lovingly.
All right, Jim, our next question was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Matt Butt. What are Jim's thoughts on the old Ultimate X matches in TNA with AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, etc.? Did he ever produce? And his thoughts on the match?
No, I did not ever produce any of those because I told him flat out it wasn't my strong point, the multiple man matches. And they, as I recall, maybe had either some of the younger producers or some of the guys that were more recently active in the ring do shit like that. But now the Ultimate X was not the cage thing where they had to climb out of the top of the cage, but the thing was suspended, whatever it was, with briefcase or belt or whatever the fuck was suspended on a cable X'd across the ring about 20 feet in the air. And they had to jump and dive and grab that, right? As you can tell, I've been studying these TNA shows. I mean, it was a chance for people to get hurt, and a number of them did. And I remember that they had Saban in one match that was like that, whether it was the cage or the cable or whatever. He had just come off an ACL surgery, and they put him in that fucking match, and he took the goddamn bump and hurt his knee again. It was stupid. They just did that because they treated all the X Division guys like interchangeable trained chimpanzees. And I can't remember who it was, but I felt so bad for him anyway. I don't want to call his name again and embarrass him. But they brought that goofy escape the cage, the dome cage thing from Mexico, where the idea was there was 10 people in the ring, and the first guy to climb the cage and climb out the top of the dome would win the match. But that meant that you not only had to climb up the side of the cage, you literally had to climb while you were upside down to get to the hole in the top of the dome. And the guy that was supposed to win the fucking thing couldn't make it. He was blown up. They'd already had this match, and he couldn't get there. And I can't remember what they did, but I think somebody else ended up having to win it. But all that was just fucking stupid. I'm just telling you. And it was people like Russo that would, oh, great, let's do these things, not knowing anything about what it took to do these things.
It was the beginning of the time where it went from the cruiserweights, the high flyers, wrestle high flying kind of matches with the other guys in their division to they do crazy stunts from really, really up high. And it's just, that's kind of the beginning of that era.
They wanted the matches to look like video games. They really did. And that's why that none of the X Division guys ever prospered as individuals, because at one point, though, they had Samoa Joe as the X Division champion, working with guys 100 pounds lighter than he was. It was just a mess. It was just a chance for them to have guys go out and do spots. It was never treated legitimately. And then Nash co-opted it so he could have a 6-month run where he just coached guys and didn't have to work. And boy, all of the cruiserweights got over because of Nash.
Well, Jim, what will be our final question this week, and we will have a lot more questions next week. We will also have songs next week as more have been sent in. But I'm
going to have a few questions also. I need some answers around here.
Well, we'll get there, but we have a lot of stuff we'll be recording, so a lot more stuff to come. Jim,
yes.
This was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Donnie Dickerson. Who will become world champion first? Dominic or Braun?
Ooh, it's going to be Braun. And And I'm not even jumping in and saying that because I'm such a Braun Breaker fan and everybody's going, oh, he's going to glaze Braun Breaker. I've been saying he's the future of wrestling and the best prospect in it since we saw him in NXT a couple of years ago. But I don't say that to say I told you so or brag, because you'd have to be a complete blithering simpleton if you'd ever been involved in the wrestling business and you haven't for the past 2 years been saying Braun Breaker's the next major star in wrestling. This is not a hard goddamn shot to call. But they're going to put him in that spot before they're going to put Dominic in it. Also because Dominic, he's still younger, and also his gimmick, and he's got so much more mileage left in this gimmick of being the punk kid, the weasel with the bad attitude. He's talented, he's good, but he's got an ego, that type of the smart ass chewing the gum. That's not the world champion, but he's going to make a lot of money at that over the next 2 or 3 years at least. And Braun Breaker will be the world champion before 3 years from now, without question. So it's going to be Braun. Just that's the way it's going to happen.
So you can't see anything, let's say, in the next year. And again, guys get injured. We saw what happened with Rollins. Punk's now the champion. It could possibly play into Braun's hands that he would get the belt quicker than he would have before Rollins got hurt. Dominic he had a championship. They freed him of a championship, so he's ready for more. But there are only 2 roads to get there. It's Cody and Punk right now. Braun may have the quickest path unless they all of a sudden did Cody and Dominic.
Well, I mean, there could be a locker room wide leprosy outbreak and you have to make changes. But even without the Rollins injury, Braun was going to be world champion first. I'm just telling you, it will, unless they are faced with some ridiculous situation where one of their main event guys gets kidnapped on short notice, they're not going to pull the trigger on Dom too soon and fuck him up because they know they got something. It's going to happen sometime, but it will not happen before Braun. And it wouldn't have happened before Braun, even if Seth Rollins hadn't got hurt.
All right. Well, with that, the drive-thru is closed. Yeah. There we go.
How about that?
We'll be back in a few days on The Experience, whatever's happening and whatever classic stuff we want to talk about. And of course, next week back here on the drive-thru, some real good history segments coming up as we get ready for the end of the year. Stay tuned for that. If you love the wrestling history segments, you're about to get a plethora of them. Stay tuned.
A cornucopia even.
Speaking of cornucopia, you may want a cornucopia of wrestling knowledge. You can get that at JimCornette.com. Cornette's Collectibles, Heroes and Friends.
And I am signing a cornucopia of them at JimCornette.com. Get your order in quick for Christmas. I believe that I can be caught up to approximately November 10th-ish or so by Thanksgiving. So time is rapidly eking by. Order now.
At JimCornette.com, of course. You can go through the archive, patreon.com/Cornette, $5 a month. Get you access to the archive going back to 2013. Patreon.com/Cornette. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Jim Cornette. It'll come right up. Full episodes, clips of the episodes.
Search for me. It'll come right up. Just tickle me right between the thighs.
Omnibus collections. All with that very popular George Livonitis artwork. I'm yelling for no good reason. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. The drive-thru is brought to you by the law office of Stephen P. New, 877-50-STEVE. Get even with Stephen. NewLawOffice.com. But until The Experience in a few days, and right back here, that's where we are, and back here on the drive-thru in a week. I can't talk. It's the end of the show. God damn it. For Jim Cornette, I'm the great Brian Last.